Right on.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Norfolk Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. It is 7 p.m. We are gathered here in Town Hall Meeting Room 124. We do not have any of our board members remotely, so we're all here. So we will not be doing roll call votes. We'll just do them all in person. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, notice was provided that the Planning Board will be meeting here this evening tonight. Members of the public are welcome to attend the in-person meeting here at 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass, or by remote Zoom connection provided. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the remote connection. There was a Zoom link provided on the town website for tonight's meeting. There's also a call-in number with a meeting ID also on our website, and it is being recorded and live streamed on the NCTV YouTube channel. So we will go around and do a quick introduction of our board. So we'll just start over here on my right. We have our associate member Gary Searle, member Gary Sullivan, Chris Montfort, myself, Chad Peck, Eric Diamond, and Melissa Mayo. We have our town planner Richard McCarthy and our admin assistant Betsy Fijol. And we don't have any other guests. Like Phil's not here. Yeah. So okay. So we will get started with our public hearing for 7 p.m. for 8 Sharon Ave.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with Mass General Law, Section 40A, and the Norfolk zoning bylaws, Section 310-6.11. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, at 7 p.m. in Room 124 at Norfolk Town Hall, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass, regarding a site plan application for property located at 8 Sharon Avenue in Norfolk, Mass. The applicant, Twin Realties Trust of Norfolk, Mass, is proposing construction of a new 11,700 square foot multi-tenant commercial building, along with appurtenant driveways, parking, landscaping, utilities, and stormwater management facilities. The property is located in the C1B off-highway zoning district. The application and plans are available for public inspection on the Town of Norfolk website or in the Norfolk Planning Board office during the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Thursday.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
So who do we have here representing the...
Dan Marican with Legacy Engineering.
Great. Thank you, Dan.
Good evening. Betsy, you might need to move that box. On the Zoom, I have it moved on my screen, but it's in the middle.
That would be cable, so,
There's like a box on the TV.
The participants.
That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Again, good evening. My name's Dan Marican with Legacy Engineering here on behalf of the applicant, Twins Realty Trust. Chris and Bill Klaropoulos are here with us tonight as well. We were here before you not too long ago for a property right down the road at 4 Sharon's Ave that's currently under construction. This is 2 lots up on the same side, so as you're coming up Sharon's Ave, it's on the right side. It's the 3rd property up on the right. The lot's about 1.4 acres. It has an existing house. It has a pretty elaborate driveway system. I guess at one point in the past, this was a restaurant. So there's kind of a gravel parking area down here, and there's a looping paved driveway that goes all the way around and through the property. The front little area is wooded, and then the right side and the rear and the left strip are wooded. We're proposing to construct a 11,700 square foot commercial building. It would be up to 6 tenant bays, would be used for storage and or contractor bays, very similar to what we had for the other building. We have a one-way looping driveway system. You come in on the bottom right of the plan, you would loop around the back of the building and then out. So these driveways are 20 feet wide for fire department access. All the parking is in the rear. There's no parking in the front. There's really nothing in the front except for landscaping and a little walkway for our secondary egress from the building itself. We did that intentionally to keep all the activity behind the building. So there are overhead doors along the back of the building, and there's just on the front of the building, there's just pedestrian doors, and that's it. There's also, in the front here, there's an existing wooded area that we're gonna maintain a wooded strip across the front of the property. This plan doesn't show it, but we're going to update it to supplement that front area with some additional evergreen trees just to provide some screening, because we do have some single-family homes across the street from the property. The building to the left is commercial. The land behind is commercial. There's an existing single-family home to the right, which was the same single-family home that was to the left of 4 Sharon's Ave. So that house is in between these two properties. We have, the bylaw requires 23 parking spaces plus 1 handicap. That's what we have proposed across the back. This hatched area right behind the building, right behind the overhead doors, is our loading area. That was one of the comments by your peer review consultant. Our utility system and grading is pretty straightforward. We have a septic system in the back left-hand corner of the site that's been designed and submitted to the Board of Health for review and approval. We have, as is typical, separate stormwater management systems for the roof runoff and the paved runoff. The larger one is for the paved runoff. The smaller one here to the right is for the roof runoff. They discharge through riprap apron to the right rear corner of the site. The discharges are very, very small, less than 1 CFS in the 100-year rainstorm. Really good soils here, really sandy soils. We've done a very conservative drainage design. I doubt those actually will discharge much of any runoff. Down on the front right, there's a small rain garden here, again in sandy soils to handle the first part of the driveway runoff. Our lighting is going to be limited to wall packs, so there'll be some wall packs across the front. They're full cutoff, facing directly downward, shielded, so you can't see the light source. This is the photometrics analysis. We don't spread any illumination off-site. It's all contained to the site itself. We have included an erosion control plan that has riprap construction entrance aprons at the 2 entrance driveways, erosion controls around the perimeter of the site. We've provided you with a stormwater management report that includes a SWIP for construction stage erosion and sediment control, which is typical for a project of this size. That's a graphic of the building. I know that we did have some comments from design review about trying to break up the front facade. One of the ideas that was kind of mentioned is doing some different paint colors on the front. You're not going to see a lot of this building from the street because we are going to have that vegetated strip right across the frontage. You're not going to see a lot of the building from the street. You're going to see a little bit. The last thing I'll touch on here is we did provide a fire truck circulation plan demonstrating that you can circulate around into the site, around the building and out with no trouble at all. So I know that you did receive peer review comments. There really, I don't think fills on, but there wasn't a whole lot there. We're working on a response. It's just about done. After tonight, we'll be able to submit that in a day or two.
Okay.
And I think that's about it. Happy to answer questions you have.
So I think all of us, we were all on the board that approved the one at 4 Sharon. Are there any differences between these 2 sites? Because they look very similar.
They are strikingly similar.
I'm just asking.
Yes, it's a larger building. That one was 4 bays. This is 6.
Okay.
So, but beyond that, it's the same. We have a one-way circulating driveway system. We have parking in the rear. We have a walkway in the front. We have landscaping in the front. It's pretty much the same.
Keeping the elevation the same as well.
Yeah, it's very similar. So the Sharon's Ave slopes downhill as you go from left to right. So when the building itself will sit probably near the road grade down at the right third.
Okay.
So as you come in off of Sharon's Ave, the driveway will go downhill to the back. And then this will all be nearly level, and then as you come out, it'll slope downhill to Sharon's Ave, which is again the same. If you've been by the 4 Sharon's Ave site, it's the exact same configuration from a grading perspective. So the building itself, the left 2/3 of the buildings actually sit a little bit lower than Sharon's Ave, and the front, I don't know if you can see here, but the front portion of the site is actually mounded in its current condition. So there's a little hill here, and we're preserving that hill. So when you come off of Sharon's Ave, it's going to go uphill a couple of feet through existing vegetated areas that we're going to add some evergreen trees into, just to kind of thicken that up. And then it'll go slope down into a lawn area that will be in front of the building itself.
Okay. What's the square footage of each? So you said it's 6 units. What's the rough, or what's the square footage of the whole building?
11,700 square feet.
All right.
But it will be a sprinklered building.
Okay. And the building itself, if I recall, looks almost identical to the other one. It's just 4 and it's 6 instead of 4.
Correct.
So the elevation view of it's very similar. And okay.
The only thing I would touch on with Phil's comments is, one of the comments was you have a minimum pipe size specification for 12-inch. These underground infiltration chambers, they're Cultec chambers. So this particular chamber itself is only 12 inches tall, so you can't get a 12-inch pipe into it.
Right.
The maximum pipe you can get into it is a 10-inch pipe. So we can upsize all of the pipes everywhere except for the pipes going directly in and out of the Cultec chambers, so we would like to request a waiver on that topic.
Okay.
And the second waiver request is not to have to do a full traffic assessment. This is a low-intensity activity. This is the type of thing, as you can imagine, people come in the morning and load up their trucks and they leave for the day, and then they come back at the end of the day. The ITE manual gives it 70 trips total per day, and the peak AM hour, it's 10 or 11 trips. It's not a very intensive operation.
Do you, this I guess would be more for the owners, or do you have any tenants lined up yet?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Do you have any at your other building? Just, okay. Just curious to know what type of, I have my own ideas of what type of tenant would be. I was just curious to know what type of tenants do you anticipate?
A lot of these end up getting, rented to like an electrician or a plumber who just needs a place to store their equipment, materials inside the building, a little office space for them. And then, they come to the shop in the morning, they load up their van, and then they go. That kind of a thing is what we're expecting.
Okay. Board members, questions?
So it seems you're calling out Cape Cod berm detail for the parking lot area.
Yes.
Would you be opposed to doing monolithic instead?
No.
Then I see the detail for the small block retaining wall. Where's that located?
We have because of the grade difference, so we have a small block wall along the left side, which is about 3 or 4 feet tall.
Okay.
And then there is a small wall on the right side, which again is 3 or 4 feet tall. So that's just transitioning grade on the left side and right side of the driveways.
Okay. And so not significant in height?
No.
See the detail for the perforated pipe. For the freestanding sign, is that going to be lit at all, or is it just going to be freestanding, non-lit?
If you want it lit, it typically is done with spotlights. Want to do that? Yeah. Spotlights from the ground or like a gooseneck over the top.
Okay. I don't see it called out on the plans. Where was the sign going?
It's right here.
It's right there. Okay.
I can update the detail to reflect the lighting.
Please and thank you.
Yep.
What kind of vegetative buffer exists to the property, or against the property on the south? Or the right hand?
To the right? So right now, it's a pine grove. So we are, as we did with the other building, we're proposing a row of evergreen trees on the right side. And then, as I mentioned, when I submit a revision, we're gonna have evergreen trees added to this existing front wooded area, just to thicken that up.
And on the plan east side's where the privacy panels are going as well, to keep privacy between the house and the property, is that right?
Pardon?
The privacy panels are going on that side as well, plan east?
Fence?
The fence, yeah.
Do we have a fence?
There's plantings, I think.
Plantings, there's no.
We just had plantings proposed there.
Okay, because you have a detail in here for,
You have a detail for panels, but.
right,
The fence detail would be for the dumpster screening, so we have a dumpster pad here,
okay.
and that would be screened with gate. That would be a fenced-in dumpster enclosure.
Thank you. So, a few comments from Beta with regards to the current conditions that need to get updated on the plan. Any concerns with any of those?
Nope. No, there's 3.
Site visit, SV 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Yeah, they asked for, there's 3 existing, they're just Home Depot brand spotlights on a tree right here, on a tree right here, and on a tree right here, so we'll update that. There's a broken down wooden stockade fence around the corner of the driveway here, we'll update that. There's a chicken coop in front of the shed, so that'll be on the revised plans we submit.
Okay. Then the dimensions for the non-handicap parking spaces need to get added.
Yep.
And then the dimensions of the handicap spaces need to be a minimum of 9 by 19. If you
Yeah,
make,
what you're seeing is what I'm going to submit, so we've added that information to
okay,
it.
perfect.
Do you have plans for future solar on the roof?
I think you're required under the building code to make provision for future solar on the roof. I don't know if you're actually planning to put solar on the roof.
But it's built to support.
Yeah, I think the code requires you maintain a certain amount of roof area as able to support solar, if you decide to put it on.
And then you have a detailed for screening for the proposed transformer.
Yeah, we're basically just going to add shrub plantings, so you can see that the transformer is expected to be out in the front somewhere, so we'll screen that off with shrub plantings all around it on the street side.
Got it. And do you have a off-street loading area or plan?
That's this entire area behind the building.
Okay. Then you're providing the wattage of the lights to be used.
I will, yep.
Revised lighting plan so that the foot candle output directly under the light source does not exceed 5 foot candles.
Yep, I'll take care of that.
Providing information for proposed seed mix for disturbed areas.
Yep, we'll add that.
Grading at the van accessible parking space exceeds 2% slope. Accessible spaces shall provide a maximum slope of 2% in all directions.
Yeah, there was a typo on a spot grade. We fixed that.
All right. Identify the accessible route from the accessible parking space to the proposed building, and it shall comply with Massachusetts access.
Yeah, the whole rear portion of the building is slope less than 2%, so it's all accessible.
Okay. And then the pipe sizes we discussed, that's the 12 to 10 that you're looking for a waiver for.
Correct.
Revised catch basin to meet minimum diameter requirements. Or request waiver. So that's an additional waiver that you'll be requesting?
No, we changed it. We will change it to a 5-foot diameter instead of a 4-foot diameter catch basin.
And then revise the recharge structures to provide the required charge volume.
Yeah, we did that. I need to reach out to Phil to get clarification on that.
Okay. Confirming that the site is not a LUH PPL. Activities such as motor vehicle repair, exterior fleet storage areas, and exterior vehicle service maintenance and cleaning areas would qualify as an LUH PPL.
Yeah, it's not any of those things.
Perfect.
I think that's it.
Oh,
Provide the riprap outfall sizing calculations for the flared end sections discharging from subsurface infiltration systems 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll have that in our next submission.
Okay. And then indicate how future property owners will be notified of the presence of the stormwater management system and the requirement for proper operation and maintenance.
Our recommendation is that you attach the O&M plan to your permit, which gets recorded, and that way it's all in one package.
Okay.
All right. I don't have any further questions.
Any other board members before we open it up?
Yeah, it looks like the design review board was expecting more than just a color change based on their notes here. Looks like they were looking for more of a dimensional change, so a minor jog or recess near each end of the bays, or a change in materials, something that would kind of break it up more so than just changing a color.
Yeah, Bill explored that. There's no easy way to do that. Adding a jog into the building adds expense and complication. They can investigate that if you think it's important. I guess my thought is that we're going to have this vegetated strip across the whole front of the property for the most part, except for the 2 driveway entrances, and you're not going to get a full-on view of the building no matter what. So we're kind of hoping that changing the color patterns would be sufficient.
Would there be a situation where someone would want multiple bays as well? Or
Yes,
is that possible?
that is distinctly possible.
Yeah, so the jog kind of like ruins that possibility as well if you're offsetting them from each other. Unless you're just doing just the front or just,
Well, I think it would just be the front.
yeah. But then you're reducing square footage,
By the tiniest bit, it's like
Or
12
you're adding.
inches.
yeah.
So it's not, I mean, it would look a lot better from a design perspective. I know the other one, we did not require that, but it was also 4 versus 6, which is pretty significant.
Could you, I mean, at a minimum, it'd be nice to have a rendering of the different colors to see what that looks like.
We had that here.
Yeah.
Did you?
That's what it would look like.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we could paint it any way you want, different sections, but that's something like what it would look like.
Maybe some sort of a trim panel, like a strip or something, to provide the illusion that you're talking about, Melissa? I mean, I'm not on the design review board, but I'm just saying that, something that
Yeah.
did just like you have on your corner
channel
end
type
cap.
of thing?
I don't know if that's actually
Here,
it's probably a gutter, but
well, no, this is a corner panel, right?
it's a corner panel, so something.
Trim, something like that, that would break up the facade.
Right. Something to break up the facade in the front,
We could come up with
along with the colors, might be a viable option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Bill
Use,
Robbins.
use the mic. You want to use this?
Yeah, sure. I was at the design review committee, and one of the suggestions they had is to have taller shrubs, like every other shrub to be a taller shrub to give it the appearance of something different.
Yep.
So that was another one they suggested.
Yep, that helps too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not as important. It's not like it's center of town or anywhere that's, right in front of a lot of traffic or anything like that. This is,
Well-
on the way to the police station.
On the way to the police station where there's a fair amount of residential homes.
How many?
I mean, if I lived there, I wouldn't want to look at this, to be
Right, but we're
honest.
already putting a lot of privacy screening from a shrub perspective. So I don't know what
I
other
don't think this
benefit.
goes with the rest of the
we're gonna do
town
with,
at this size.
Yeah.
I mean, minor design changes would make a huge difference, like Chad said, with the channels or something.
Just
and then-
some sort of, I think a combination of the color and some channels.
Or
and
materials.
Maybe,
My only concern from that perspective is anytime you're introducing new materials and construction like this, you're just creating another area for penetration of rain and other water, right? Like we're now asking them to put the outside exterior of their building at risk just so that we can have a.
I mean, it's just like putting a window in your house. It's all sealed. There's really no risk.
There's
It's
gonna
all
be some
sealed
trim
until
on
it isn't.
The windows and doors.
I mean,
too, that we don't-
I do this every day. I've never had a problem.
Well,
I think you're gonna see some other color and trim on the windows and doors that
yeah.
obvious in that.
I mean, I'm fine with just the paint change, right? Like, for me, that works.
I like the idea of the separation barrier and then, or not separation barrier, but something to add a little bit more physical,
A trim strip.
yeah, trim
strips.
Thank you, trim strip, and then the idea of the alternating heights and bushes.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems to fit, I think, the intent of what the design review board was going for with minimal increase to cost.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it could give the visual illusion of being jogged or
Right.
recessed.
Yeah. Well, we'll investigate that. Come back with something for you.
Okay. Anything else before we open it up? Okay. So we're going to open it up to the public, to anybody in the room or on Zoom, if they'd like to comment. It is a public hearing. Yep. So can you grab a microphone? Just state your name and address.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Tim Morrissey, 9 Sharon Ave, so I'm directly across the street.
Yep.
My concerns were, one was addressed, was the lighting in the rear, which sounds great, because I have a building behind me, which is on Shire Drive. I get a light in my kitchen. I don't even need a night light. It's so bright. We actually literally put shades in the house, in the kitchen, because of the brightness of their lights. So that was my concern. That was taken care of. The only thing I'm worried about is also the traffic. We've had a huge increase with the police station, people coming in and out. The people that use Shire Drive, the majority of the cars go to Duncan and come straight up to go to work up Shire Drive. So there's a huge increase in traffic on that road. I bought the house, it was a cul-de-sac. So I've been there over 20 years, and it's changed appreciably, which I can understand because it's commercial.
Yep.
When I bought the house, I didn't know it was commercial. So I kind of stepped in it, but I would just like to see if we could do a traffic study to see if there's anything we could do.
Okay. I mean, that's something we do need to talk about. Phil mentioned that on his analysis, if we wanted to require a traffic study. And we don't have to make that decision necessarily tonight, because we're going to obviously keep the public hearing open till we get the comments resolved.
But if you do want it, that's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'd like to know tonight if you
Okay.
want it. I guess
When was the last one done in that area?
So there was not one done, so in Shire Industrial Park was 2005.
2005.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago.
But I mean, just so you know what a traffic study looks like, right, is they go out and they're going to do traffic counts on Sharon's Ave, and they're going to assess the impact of the new trips from this building on the existing traffic patterns. And this is a minimal
Right.
traffic generator. It's going to come back and say that it's not going to have an adverse impact on the existing traffic
Right,
patterns
right.
on Sharon's Ave.
Right. Because the existing traffic pattern has changed dramatically in the last 20 years.
Right, because there's more commercial activity there.
Right.
So like, what does the town normally do in that instance where collectively over time, there's been an increase in traffic, right? Like, how do we make sure the road is sized correctly, traffic, speed limit markers are up in the right areas at the right values? Like,
Well, you would have, that would be part of a traffic study, but,
The police department determines the appropriate speeds
Yeah.
for the roads.
There wasn't one done for the new gas station there, and that exit?
traffic study?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably was. It was a while ago, though.
20 years ago.
But it wouldn't have been for Sharon.
It wouldn't have done, yeah.
It would have just been for Route 1A.
1A.
the thing I'm trying to work through in my head is
Exit is on Sharon.
like, I get their
they would've done
want
that
for a
side
traffic
street, though.
study, and I actually kind of agree with the
I agree
traffic
with that,
study.
too.
What I'm struggling with is, why is the onus for traffic study falling on just this one property where it's like a collective 20-year progress of properties building up to this crescendo of traffic, right? So I'm just trying to figure that out in my head.
Okay. So,
Opportunistic kind of a mentality that we have from town planning. It's not like we go and pay for, proactive traffic studies.
Well, and also, we're going to find the impact is probably going to be not a severe impact to the existing.
Right.
That's going to be the results of the traffic study. You're going to say, well, it's minimal to existing. The issue is that the existing has changed dramatically in 20
Yeah,
years.
so let me restate the question, I guess, because what I'm trying to get at is, if the traffic patterns have changed drastically over X years, right? Where does the responsibility lie to address the traffic issues?
I guess the next question to that, without answering yours, is what can be done based on the findings of the traffic study?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. So it's like,
It's just traffic lights. You're going to put up more traffic control. That's the only thing you can do.
You
right.
could do speed bumps, you could
Yeah.
change it to 15 miles an hour, you can,
Well, the police are going through there too. and sometimes
right.
leaving out
I definitely want to walk you back on
Yeah.
15 miles an hour. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's not,
I was just throwing a number.
no, well, there's other
7 miles an hour.
Right.
just for clarification, just,
Police department's probably not going to want
Yeah,
speed
yeah,
bumps.
yeah. I don't think they're going to do that.
they probably wouldn't, well, more, and DPW really doesn't really, they frown on speed bumps anyway. there could be other traffic calming devices that could be considered in there, but
I mean, if DPW or police wanted us to put up some signs, whatever those signs might look like, we'd be happy to do that. But, you know, this building's not going to change what's happening out there.
no.
No,
Sometimes there's a limited traffic study, right, where we ask them to show line of sight and
Yeah, I don't think,
actually initially.
We have site distances shown on the plan.
yeah, I don't see site
Traffic
distance as an
counts.
issue. That's a pretty shallow curve, and
there's a cumulative, yeah, there's definitely traffic tests, and to Mr. Morrissey's point, you know, there's people traveling on it that are just working, right? So they're taking their car, they're not necessarily so there's a volume of using it. I don't know, I don't really have a great answer in terms of,
you know, this is like a really, I wouldn't call it a unique situation, but it is a situation that's been building over 20 years.
yeah, I mean, you could look at, you know, you could have them look at speeds to see what people are traveling there, but I don't know if they're really,
It's not going to impact them, though.
Right.
no,
It's just you're having a study done,
yeah,
see if you want more traffic control.
yeah.
I mean, we have a larger effort to document the as-built for the top portion of this area, right? As part of that, can we take on the onus of doing a traffic study that is separate from this?
Well, we're a little thin on the budget. We're actually upside down, so,
But you really don't need, you
yeah.
know,
it's
an
not a-
elaborate traffic study. You just need a traffic consultant to make recommendations to you about, you're not going to get, you don't get a lot of trips coming out of the
Right.
park.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a huge traffic generator.
it could be some traffic calming suggestions that could be incorporated there
Right.
overall, you know?
Right.
Because I don't, not to get too far afield, but I know there's a no truck sign there, but I don't think that, I talked to DPW, I'm not sure that was actually done by study. It's a sign that's up there to just kind of keep people honest.
Right.
Because truck exclusions, you have to go through Mass DOT, you know, so there's quite a bit to do that. So there is one about the trucks there, but maybe a traffic person that could suggest some things in terms of traffic calming that could be done would definitely be worth. So I suppose we could ask.
I didn't mean to derail it, it's just as a planning
No.
board member, this looks fine.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't think they should have to pay for a traffic study if it's middle traffic. But as a resident, yeah, I would be asking these questions to you guys through angry emails, like, hey, I want these answers, so
Right.
I thought I'd bring them up now.
I support that.
It's a great question.
Thank you.
Not a great answer, but, I mean, the answer, I could speak to, because they have traffic engineers at Beta as well, I mean, they can, as opposed to, I don't know, they probably, maybe you should have somebody and then they could make some.
Well, I could engage someone to do a limited assessment, trying to look at potential traffic calming measures.
Yeah,
Right, and not count cars and do all that stuff.
Right.
Right.
That stuff all costs a lot of money, and it's not gonna
does.
yield any tangible results. So,
No.
that's something that we could do.
I think that would be good.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are no sidewalks in Shire at all, either side, nothing?
No.
Shire there is.
Well, Shire there is,
Yeah.
but not in
Not
Sharon.
in Sharon.
Not on Sharon.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience or on Zoom? I don't, but,
Yes, Peter Diamond here through the chair.
yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Are there any provisions for parking for electric vehicles?
We have not made any provisions at this point.
Is that not a requirement now?
There's a requirement, I think it's presently in the code, that you have to make a certain number of spaces EV-ready.
Yes.
And I think the new code, which goes into effect July 1st, that increases the amount of spaces that have to be EV-ready. So conduit and wiring to a certain number of spaces.
So do you have some EV-ready spaces now, or?
I haven't designated them on the plan, but we would provide whatever the building code requires.
Okay, okay. Peter, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. I think the building code requires 10%, but...
Yeah, and I think it's going up to 20.
Engineer and
Okay.
Well, just go back to your engineer and see what's needed, and maybe you could just add them to the plan. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Peter. Betsy, any other questions on Zoom? Okay, anybody else in the room? Okay, any board final comments? So I would like to make a motion to, I'm drawing a blank here, not to close it, but to continue, thank you, to continue the public hearing to our next planning board meeting, which is April 8th at 7 PM. Can I get that moved?
Moved. So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And me as well.
And Mr. Searle's opinion. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a month.
I only have these two. Do you have the 7:30 one?
No, that was continued. That was continued from,
Thank you.
you're okay. All right.
It's perhaps a little weird the way they do it, because the study will never bump anything out, because it's always compared to this instance just before. So now we're looking at 20 years collectively, and it's probably not a good way of doing anything.
Right.
You can't burden
Okay,
that.
so let's move on to our next item. We have 7:30 public hearing to discuss, so we're going to reopen a previous public hearing that was continued from our last town meeting. It's a public hearing to discuss the proposed zoning bylaw amendments related to accessory dwelling units for the May 14th annual town meeting, which was continued from our February 11th, 2025 meeting. So we now have that open. So Rich, if you want to go through
Sure.
the changes that we've made
And we do have,
where our current status is.
Town council's join us via Zoom as well.
Excellent.
So we made changes to the, I'll just start off by saying, to the accessory dwelling unit bylaw from the February meeting.
Yes.
And then at the town council send them to the Attorney General's office at the end of February to have them take a look at the proposed bylaw with the changes. And as we go through this, Peter Diamond had made some comments we'll walk through, and then Bob Bullock had made some comments. Their comments were not in that version that went off to the AG, so we have not heard back from the AG yet.
That was my next question.
So I think it would be advisable, most likely, to continue this to the April meeting,
Yes.
to hear back from the Attorney General, and then we can talk through the comments that were raised on the February 11th version of the bylaw. So let me see if I can go in.
So you're going to pull that up and share it?
Yeah, I was going to go in. So, let me see where's my...
Are we going to go through Bob's and Peter's concerns separately in those separate documents?
Yes.
Isn't there one with both?
Yeah, the PCB one, PCD.
PCD.
That has
town
both?
plan.
Yeah. So we can,
If we have one with both, let's do that,
Yeah.
to see if there's any contradiction or overlap.
yeah. You want to start with the,
What's that document called?
Zoning ADU comments by PCD, that one? Is that the one that has the consolidated comments?
With the town planner comments?
Yeah, I think is it?
With the Word document?
yeah, it's Word document. Well, I put it into Word.
Yep.
So I'm going to share it right now. Let's see. All right. You're online, Peter and Tony, right?
Yeah, Tony.
I saw Tony.
Out here.
Yep.
Okay.
I hear
Excellent.
Peter. Okay.
So the first comment that Peter mentioned was moving the last sentence in the definition. I think so discussing with town council, and the thought would be that I think it makes sense to keep it in the definition. If we wanted to replicate it in the design section, it makes sense, but we're defining just for further clarity for people, having it, what ADU is in there.
Okay.
So that was, you can.
That's fine. So then we get to 4.
Yes, down to 4, and I agree, to insert planning board as a special permit granting authority.
Yep.
That does make sense. In the same section, the board has discussed the policy perspective of just allowing 1 additional ADU by special permit. So I think that you could remove that accessory dwelling, because it is a companion to this in the use table. There was amendment to the use table that just says 2 as we get to that.
Right.
Or you could just leave it in there for clarification. Or you could, so let me back up. I presume you want to stick to your policy of
2.
1 by right.
1 by right.
And a second could be done by special permit.
That was what we had discussed many times.
Yes.
And so I think we're all clear that that's the direction we want to head right now.
Okay.
That's what we're proposing. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I do see the comment that, yes, there's many large lots in Norfolk that could accommodate more.
We had that discussion.
We've had that, yeah, we've had that discussion.
If we
I
need
know.
more, we can revisit this in the future if more is required.
Yes.
I would leave it in there just to be clear.
Yep.
And I'd rather have, because it ties to the use table.
Right.
And I'd rather have it in both places. I'd like to have it in both places so it's identified. Okay.
So there's been a lot more clarity in terms of ADUs in relation to non-conforming structures, so you can't unreasonably restrict them. So they would be allowed by right if you're looking for one. The change to the regulations that was put out by Housing Livable Communities, which we'll talk about as we kind of go a little bit further, is the more permissive setbacks would rule now, which in the case of our accessory structures is up to the height for the side and rear yard setback. It is allowed, the front yard will stay as 50 feet, because that is what is in the residential zoning district, the 1, 2, and 3 districts. As we get further along, though, we did put in there about not allowing the accessory dwelling between the required front yard setback and the principal dwelling. That was a policy in terms of, while it may make sense in a lot of larger lots, it may impact character in more planned single neighborhoods that are more, I would say, closer to the minimum lot sizes that we have in town than the larger lots that have pre-existed and have been around a lot longer. That we definitely have houses where, the houses are probably 200, 300, maybe 400 feet off the street. Cleveland's a good example. If you travel, there's a lot of homes that are set way back. So yet, the idea of having somebody put in a ADU, detached ADU in between the front setback and the principal dwelling, it's a subjective thing in terms of character in the neighborhood. So it's in there. it might get stricken by the AG, so it might end up going away, because we don't, it's a bit further reach in terms of design
Okay.
for ADUs. Which is a long-winded answer to come back around and say that if it's a non-conforming structure, we do have the way we changed the bylaw even today for 1 and 2 families, that you don't need to go to the ZBA anymore if you're not encroaching on a setback. So if you're going less than that. So it'd be treated the same way. It may need to be a finding. So that was one thing they did. By the way, there was a webinar today. So it's going to be an evolving process in terms of non-conforming structures. Depends what the non-conformity is. But that's a long-winded answer to say it's just directive to somebody who's proposing an ADU, particularly a detached, to be mindful of setbacks. I don't think it's really, but again, I'll pause and you can comment whether you think it makes sense to have it in there or not, but.
I think there's a lot of value to that, and we'll see what the AG comment is. Okay.
Same thing, scrolling down with the corner lots and through lots. Again, it's just clarity for, it would play a difference on the corner lots, because the corner lots, it's 50 feet front yard setback on both sides. And then accessory dwellings, the way we have the bylaw written, you have to abide by that front yard setback of 50 feet. I might put Tony on the spot maybe, but we did change the accessory structure bylaw so somebody could go closer by special permit. I don't know if that's considered unreasonable, but
No.
because the setback, again, for the front yard is in both provisions.
Right.
So it's mirrored. You want to comment, Tony, or no?
Maybe no.
No, he doesn't.
No, I don't think so. I think it doesn't sound unreasonable to me, because you have the special permit process, or at least for the setbacks, to allow for it.
Right. Okay. So design requirements?
Yes.
1?
So that would be what Peter suggested, which I think certainly makes good sense to put it there.
Yep.
More directive in terms of somebody from the design side of things.
It provides clarity.
Yep. It provides clarity.
Yep.
So this kind of touches on the one that I did allude to this already about, having closer than the front lot line than the principal building. This one here, I think it makes sense again to hear from the AG. You might have to remove it, but it's a design consideration.
Yep. Okay.
Let's see. And this comment, let's just continue there because it talks about the larger lots. And the next one down is the reference to local bylaws and regulations. I mean, it's really more directive for somebody who's a layperson to make them aware of it. You could remove it. I mean, but again, I think might be wait, deferment and see what the AG says on it.
I would wait.
So in terms of the one, relative to the water, if somebody wants to get water from the principal dwelling, that's fine. This wasn't drafted to be prohibitive in that regard. It's just a matter to direct somebody that you need potable water, whether it's through a well or through town water. Same thing. We can wait to hear back from the AG. Fair point about the impervious. I understand that. I will say though, when somebody is proposing a subdivision, we do look at the houses in terms of stormwater management and infiltration as part of it. Likewise, when somebody proposes a 40B development, and there's residential, whether it's a townhouse or a single family and so forth, we do want to look at the stormwater and how it's being managed and treated. If there's an existing lot in town, somebody's pulling a building permit off the street, we don't do that currently right now. So from that lens, yeah, you could say it's more restrictive than a single family home, but there are some instances where we do require it with subdivisions and particularly 40B. So you could remove it, or again, you could wait to see what the AG says. I will say it would not be a stretch to say down the road that even a single family home will need to manage stormwater in some way, sort of treatment and recharge from our general stormwater permit through the EPA that the town has. So I I could foresee that being something that may evolve over time in that regard. But again, I think the idea is to wait.
Yep. See what the AG says.
Yeah.
Leave it in.
The next one is about the site plan review. It was something that by statute that towns could do. I think you made a policy, a decision to have that review. And so that's why it's there.
Yep.
To make it a little bit quicker and streamlined, it would be at a public meeting of the planning board, not a public hearing. So there's no notice in the paper, there's no abutters within 300 feet, which is our requirement that you have.
It also doesn't come then with a lot of costs.
It doesn't come with a lot of costs.
It's not a public hearing.
It's not a public hearing, correct. And it's on it'll be a little bit of time, but on a more expedited track if it was going through a special permit for certainly, because that is a much longer time frame, because you can hold the public hearing up to 65 days and then you close a hearing and then 90 days to render a decision, so that could be certainly protracted, but this process is to be faster. In addition to not having it being a public hearing, public meeting, somebody can come in much closer to a planning board meeting and we can get them on the agenda. So we're not dealing with notice. The benefit to the public at large is that there will be notice to direct abutters that there is an ADU, and this is going to be relative to detached ADUs, and then if you were going to be expanding existing home to create it. You did change it before, so if somebody's just doing interior renovation to the home to create the ADU, it's not going through a site plan process.
Right.
And I think, Norfolk and the other 350 cities and towns are all going to be, I would imagine we will see some changes out of this as we move along with this bylaw. So I wouldn't suggest that it's going to be one and done. It will be an evolved process. Same thing about putting in the planning board again, in terms of being the special permit.
And then for section 7, that's where we do want the public hearing, is for the additional one.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think what ended up happening is there was numbers in it, the version that was back in January, and then the February version had letters in it.
Yeah, it could, maybe, yeah.
Because I looked back and I saw, so anyway, the point is taken, it should be numbers, not letters.
Okay.
So that was a good point that Peter brought forward. And then we are specifically referring to 16.5D because this is I'll call it an abbreviated site plan process, not the same as 611, which is a completely different process for site plan. So that's why it's 615 D4 as opposed to 611. And then we already just have to scroll down. the use table.
So the use tables,
Yeah, that actually is not, hold on a second. Let me just go into the bylaw. That doesn't look like the use table one that we did. I just want to confirm that, because I know you just did two.
right.
Bear with me a second. And then we'll go, and then Melissa went through it, had a bunch of comments, so we want to walk through those comments as well. Just in terms of, just pulling up the one now from February. Review. No comments.
In the pause here, through the chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Diamond, 84C Conk Street. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to provide comments. That's
Yeah,
all.
you're welcome. We appreciate the comments. Makes it better.
So I'm gonna screen share again, so. So it is two accessory.
So we changed, yeah, so what,
Because before I had more in there, it's not
right,
more.
it's two accessory dwelling units, yeah.
Yep.
That's the final, that's
Yep.
the language that we'd be proposing.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we did talk about, which is just for emphasis for the public, it is special permit in the B3, B4, because the way the regulations end up getting finalized, wherever you allow a single-family home by right or by special permit. So that's where it is. So, you want me to share yours or?
Yeah, I put them all, so all the ones, all the Google Docs, well, I think I opened them as Google Docs. So all the ones that I made edits to it says MM edits. It's in the folder.
Right now. All right, so let me,
Okay, so now we're gonna go through a different markup.
So there was, Rich consolidated everything into one document, but then I wanted to make some edits. So he took all of the individual documents out, so they were all separated, so I could just go in and do some quick edits for things like capitalizing accessory and dwelling unit, just little things that we would have gone through in this meeting, just to try
Okay.
to make that easier.
so that's not the one, is it? No,
Just
that's
go to the
not.
folder, I can show you.
All right, let me stop sharing, no way. I see people, let me fudge around. That's it. Oh, in the,
The one that
Meeting
Betsy
folder?
shared with us, yeah. Are you able to pull that over so you can see if it says MM edits?
oh, yeah,
There you go.
oh, here it is.
Permit, that's the permit granting one.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
EV. Oh, that is this
Oh, it's
one
way at the
here.
bottom.
Yeah, I'm sure that's that, right? Yeah, okay. All right,
Here you go.
okay, so.
All right, so you're sharing,
I'm sharing the one
Yep.
that's got MM in the
Yep.
folder. So we did chat about, so principal should be
AL.
AL.
Now, on 2, you're changing from unit to units.
We're gonna,
What's,
I think we're gonna,
We
well, the
talked about that.
suggestion is to stick with the singular,
yeah,
because it's only one by right,
right,
and then the second one would be by special permit,
That's
so it's
kinda
really not plural.
okay. All right,
Well, it's good.
so you're gonna change that back,
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
change it back.
and then you change throughout the document, change principal with EL to an AL.
AL, yep,
Okay,
So I went through and updated those just to be consistent.
thank you.
yeah. And then adding a the in here,
Yes.
and then changing the requiring as opposed to needing.
Yes.
Okay,
Sounds better.
Can I comment on that last sentence in there?
Yeah, sure.
And that, right after applicant shall provide proof they are within half-mile radius, or include of transit station, period, and not the rest of that makes it like a tongue twister.
The applicant should provide proof that they are within a radius of transit station, not requiring one off-street parking space. Put a period there?
Yeah.
After parking
You
space?
You just defined all that in the couple sentences above it.
Yeah,
Gave all that again in that sentence.
yeah. I think that makes sense.
oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It's redundant, yeah.
Yeah, it is redundant. I wonder if you even need it, I guess.
Well, we probably do have to mention the waiver, right?
The waiver is good, but I mean, the last two sentences, the
The
last,
applicant shall provide proof they are within a half mile.
because like Eric
Not
said,
required.
you know, you're telling what you gotta do up top.
You just told
And
them
then
again.
repeat it.
Yeah, it's like, and then there's a waiver that, and then do we need to say it again?
Probably not.
I'm gonna just take that out.
Does that make sense, Tony?
Yeah, you could take that out.
Yeah,
Starting with the applicant.
Yeah,
All right, I'll just
Yeah.
delete that here.
I like that, less is more, okay?
yeah. All right,
You got it, thank you.
put a the in there.
Put a dot in where?
Oh, no, I'm just telling, you put it, I went down the next,
Oh, I added the,
yeah,
yes.
you
Added
added
the
the
for
accessory dwelling unit.
nice grammar, okay?
Yeah,
And then you're gonna change
Stick
to
with
singular,
yeah,
right?
so then we'll keep is.
Okay,
Inserted and existing, and then and in front, actually, I should have skipped over it, but, so and accessory dwelling unit shall use
And
and existing driveway. Make sense? Read better? You all right? Yes,
So-
no?
Yep.
right. So number C1, second sentence, shouldn't that also start with and?
Yep. Change that.
Oh, all right, we missed one, huh?
Yeah, from the to and.
Yeah,
I'm updating them in this document. I think you're in Word right now, so I'm
Yeah.
making the updates that we're talking about as you're scrolling, so you can just take
Should I
this
go?
and download it as Word later.
yeah. I don't need it, should I show it, display that or not?
Oh, I don't care, either way.
Or are you showing, which document are you showing on this? Oh, you're showing the Word document, not the Google Docs.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what are you looking at?
The Google Docs. I'm watching Melissa edit it live.
Me too.
Like,
I just want, it's just,
yeah, why don't we, well, let's show the Google Docs.
All right, yeah,
it's fun.
it's fun.
It's interactive.
Technology is amazing
Yeah.
Just watching the cursor bounce
when it works.
around.
Right? When it works. It usually works.
All right, so I gotta figure out, I'm not, Google is not my friend, so I'm trying to, where the heck is it? Oh, this one here. Am I in the one, am I in it right now? Not. I don't think I am, right?
Scroll all the way up and you'll be able to see. And scroll down a little.
Any anonymous alligators?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Looks
the
like
one?
it. Mhm. I've just been updating all the comments over here as we've been going along.
Okay. All right, you see that? Well,
Yes. Okay,
all right.
so we're on C3. C5, you added an and.
Oh, I jumped ahead, sorry. Yeah,
Right. Then
C3 is an and, then there's an and on 5. And then there's
this is just me being picky, but I mean, it doesn't, I guess it's not gonna matter for E code, but the one, under D, 1 and 2 aren't indented. They should be, but they'll get formatted for E code differently.
E code, yeah.
So,
Now, this is a good change, I think.
which one?
Under 3, about,
D3?
yeah, about no public hearing.
So the highlighted yellow, well, it's not on the screen highlighted. So we're,
No, so you're not in the,
I'm not, yeah.
Oh, I can just
oh,
tell
so
you.
on that, so what you're sharing that everyone sees, they see it. Okay. Thank you.
oh, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, the yellow highlighted section.
Oh, I'm not? Oh, sorry, my apologies.
Rich is gonna screen share here in a minute.
You unscreen shared and then I think you forgot to screen share.
Oh, boy. All right. There we go.
There we go.
All right, sorry.
Perfect.
So D3, there's the yellow highlight.
Yeah.
That's
so
new language.
Great point. I was trying to, drafting it like, okay, it's not a public hearing, but we got into discussion, public hearing, public meeting, the public, what they know, like, there are differences. So to keep it simple, change the public meeting. What'd that do?
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking if you're really anybody other than people in this room or that have been on the planning board or other boards maybe, a public hearing and a public meeting, I don't know that anybody really knows the difference. And so I didn't want people to think, I was trying to think through this, if I'm a homeowner and I see that I don't have to go to a public hearing and then you tell me that I have to come in front of the planning board, I might be really confused why I have to show up when it says no public hearing. Does that make sense? So maybe we could mention that it's a meeting, not a hearing, something where it shows that they do have to show up.
Tony, does that make sense to you? It feels sensible to me.
Yeah, that's fine. It makes it more clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you added a period, looks like, right?
Yes.
Got rid of the comma, put a capital T in there. And that's
it.
summation of it.
Yep.
Bob's comments are in your folder. There was overlap with Peter's comments.
Yep,
So
I saw that.
So I think really by going with Peter's comments, they really encapsulated Bob's comments.
Okay. Comments from the board?
Comments on the board, more public comments.
Yep. So let's open it up to anybody else on Zoom or in the room. Questions?
I'm gonna stop screen sharing. So.
Okay. Betsy, any?
I see none.
Okay.
So like we said at the onset of this public hearing, this we'll have these edits and then wait for the AG.
So are you going to send this updated version to the AG? I know you sent it at the end of February.
Yeah. So I'm doing a little gambling in a non-monetary way that we can take what comes from the AG and blend it in with this and not send it again.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should send it again. It might kick us down.
It's going to delay
I don't
it.
know how the internal processes work up there, but
Yeah, I don't want to.
you know,
Are
we
any-
got something in
Because we need to wrap this up for, yeah, we need to wrap it up for April on
Right.
the warrant, and
So Tony, do you feel any of the changes we've made here are substantive that would require resending to the AG for anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think some of the bigger policy issues are the same. So, those are the things that I'm interested in seeing what the AG says, but the slight tweaks here or there, from tonight's meeting, I don't think they rise to that level. And, we'll just see what the AG says, and if we have to make adjustments, we'll have time to do that. But definitely no need to send this version to the AG. No.
Okay.
What if we don't hear back before the 18th?
April 8th?
The 18th, if that was the...
No.
April 8th.
Yeah, you're going to, this
have
will
to
go to
close it.
April 8th.
Right, will you think that we will hear back from them before the April 8th?
Well, the whole purpose of the exercise was the
Yeah.
AG was trying to help towns before town meeting.
They're still holding hearings and
I
changing
can't
the rules
say
as
if
we
we'll get it
go.
back in time. I really don't know, but
Is there
the
a,
purpose of it was to be done.
yeah, so with that said, can we, I guess, gently remind them that, hey, we have to wrap this up by the 8th of April? Otherwise, your comments aren't going to make it to our town meeting.
Yeah, Tony's
Very gentle.
good at that.
Gentle,
I
I
can
said
be-
gentle.
Yes, I can do that. I can send a very friendly reminder.
A friendly nudge that,
Yeah.
okay.
And there's no rebuttal once you get it back from the AG. You just accept what's there.
You accept what's there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you evaluate what's there.
They're not going to ask for more information. They make a decision.
The AG?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Then it'll go back to the AG again, obviously, if,
Yeah.
this
Right.
goes to town meeting, gets voted on.
I think it's in their best interest to provide comments prior to our
Yeah.
meeting on April 8th so that we can
absolutely is.
incorporate those into the final warrant.
And they offer it up
And I
as,
suspect- Sorry.
go ahead,
Go, Tony.
I suspect that, on some of the issues, you might get a comment back like you see after you pass a different kind of zoning amendment that says, this one's a little questionable, just check with town council, which is a different way of the AG saying, this is a close call. We're not going to tell you absolutely no right now. So if you get comments back like that, you can certainly change it. Or, if the board decides that, it's worth trying to keep, then you can also keep it. So
Okay.
you don't have to follow exactly what the AG tells us.
Okay, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Right.
All right.
and there was, just for, I put in your folder, there was a webinar this afternoon that the Office of Housing Livable Communities put on with MAPC, where they put together a model bylaw for any community. And so I downloaded it, and we could put it up on the website too, but it's in the share drive. So they basically outlined, they essentially went through and said, these are do's and don'ts, things to consider, things to be aware of, in terms of preparing a bylaw. So part of my comments to you this evening was about the one where, between the front of the principal dwelling and that front yard setback.
Was that the only one that
That was the impervious one.
kind of raised a red flag in your mind?
In my mind, that one did, the impervious, but
Okay.
overall, I think we're, so,
All right.
anyway.
Any other comments in the room, Zoom? Tony, any final parting words?
No, it's all from me.
Okay, well then I would like to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to discuss the proposed zoning bylaw amendments related to the accessory dwelling units for the May 14th, 2025 annual town meeting.
So moved.
And wait. Until April 8th at 7
o'clock, so you want to go
Seven-
7:30?
7:30.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And me.
Aye. Okay, unanimous, and we have our accessory, our associate member.
Accessory
Or
unit
accessory
member.
member.
An accessory associate, yeah. Okay, all right, so
It's kind of unique, accessory.
our next public hearing, 8 PM for, we're a little behind schedule for,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
can we ask what the audience is here for? Maybe we can jump to that.
Can we with the public hearing?
I don't know.
Well, you can open the public hearing and then and pause it if you want, and then go to it, if that's,
Yeah,
We could do that, so,
it's up to you. You're the
no,
chair.
that's fine, so,
and you also might want to waive the reading of it.
well, we
I
definitely,
don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh, I'll go through every word. Totally fine with that.
so, we do have quite a few people here tonight.
one is for the public hearing.
One is for the public hearing, and the others are for,
Just ask them, I guess.
yeah, what are you all here for? The EV
Charging.
EV charging? That's,
Street.
Everett.
Street,
okay,
Bill Crossing.
okay, well,
You're in it for the night.
all right, yeah, all right, so,
Is that, is he,
EV, all right,
so if
so,
it's EV, we'll
all right,
just do
we'll
that.
just keep
Yep.
going, all right.
all right.
All right, so we do have a public hearing for the rest of our proposed zoning bylaw amendments for May 14th town meeting. Melissa, I would like,
Oh, I'll read it all. You want me to?
no, I would like to make a motion that we do not read these into them, and we just put them in as printed.
Second.
Perfect.
To all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You didn't hear me, I said,
Okay. All those opposed? All right. So the public hearing is open for, we do have several proposed bylaw amendments, and we will just go down the list in order, Rich? Is that
Yes.
what we're thinking? So we have an electrical vehicle charging station. We have three of those, actually, three pieces. So you want to bring the first one up?
Oh, right. You have it in Google Docs too, right?
Yep.
Why did I not? That's the one, right?
So, minutes.
Yep, that one.
7?
Doesn't show up in.
Looks like it opened in Word.
Yeah, open in Word. I don't
That's
know.
all right. It should be the same. I mean, you just won't see it as I'm updating it.
Oh, you can?
So what was so we're doing
Well, I'm doing the.
section,
671 first?
Yeah, I'm doing
sec-
the.
section
yep, in order.
310, 6.7.
Electric vehicle charging station.
Yeah, does it show you contents? I just want to scroll through. It's not showing.
It doesn't show it?
No. So I've got the wrong one, I think. Let's see.
I don't know. I've got the same one and it doesn't show her edits.
It doesn't?
I see her edits.
I
You
see.
may have to turn on show revisions.
It's got this was 518. Time limit. It did it with the other one. That was weird.
Maybe, can you are you in the Google?
It's funny with Google Docs.
Oh,
You're not in the
I'm
Google
sorry.
folder. Yeah, that's
I went in the,
Ticks. Like, you just.
never mind. I know where I
You do this.
Yes, I didn't go there, sorry.
just this, it's all the same content. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm, yep.
I went in the shared drive.
Whenever you're
That
waiting,
worked.
it's a.
With me, it's like I'm constantly highlighting a sentence.
What happened?
That's why I
Go again.
I think that's what I do. I find myself just doing this. Like,
Yeah.
I know, I was
Went that-
presenting today and I noticed that I moved my mouse around. I'm like, oh, I
It's
can't
not
do
showing it.
that.
oh, really?
Like,
Close out of
like, oh,
that
I
one?
should do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because, last week someone made up, you move your mouse around when you're presenting. And I'm like, no, I had no idea.
Interesting.
So I caught myself a couple times and I'm like, oh,
Why is-
I mean, it's okay to move it if you want to point something out, but I just like,
I fidget with stuff.
Like, okay.
I had a set of dice, and I was just kind of spinning them.
Keeps kicking
And
me
somebody
down
requested,
to the,
What the hell is that noise?
on the PC.
I
Feel
didn't
it?
even know they're making noise.
Do you have your email open? I can just send you this link.
Yeah, I have the email.
So I highly recommend seeing the movie Ricky Stenicki. Stenicki? Yeah.
There you go. Now it should be in your inbox.
Yeah, there's a public speaking portion that I won't speak to, but it was hilarious.
Ricky.
Just gonna wait for it to pop in here.
Yeah, John Cena's in it.
There we go.
Speaking.
It was worth it just to see John Cena in an acting role.
All right, we're ready to roll now. Apologize for the,
Okay, so you're gonna share it? It's
I'm
not
gonna
shared.
share it, yep, I'll share it. Technical,
And Betsy's got the same one up on the TV here? Well, it's on that screen.
no.
Okay, so it's on, so don't look at that TV.
don't look at the big monitor.
Don't look at the monitor on the wall, look
Yeah.
at the one.
I'm going low tech.
Okay. All right, so,
Hey, folks, I'm sorry, before you get started,
yes,
I was just wondering if you wanted me to stay for. these
Oh, I'm
next
sorry.
meeting, or- No, it's all right. It's
do
just
we
'cause
need Tony for
Rich asked me
these?
to come for the ADU one, but I see you got these other ones on too. I'm happy to stay. It's totally up to you. I just didn't want to leave if you were expecting
Up to
me.
you, Rich. These are billable hours.
Yeah, I was supposed to make the same statement.
Billables hours. No, I think, it's all right. Let's
Okay,
run.
that worked. I just didn't want to leave and, if someone expected me to be
Yeah,
there. But
no, appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Good night.
Well, have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
You too.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right.
All right, so,
Gonna save money.
Could have seen where he was in the hour. So it's
Why is there strikeouts there?
Could have got an extra 55
5
minutes.
minutes.
I mean, you think he rounds up?
I think, yeah, I think.
Have the strike through. Did you do that?
I don't think so. All right, so I'm not sure why there's a strike through on the B.
Going back to pen and paper after this meeting.
Come on.
we're gonna flip charts.
Yeah.
There, I took it off.
I'm having flashbacks of teaching my grandparents how to set the timer on the VHS.
There's one
recorder,
there.
Made sure they don't miss their show.
Yep, I got that.
Not nice.
Hey,
Ta-da.
that was me.
It's gonna be us in about
With you?
2 hours if we don't finish.
Okay,
Easy.
all right, Rich, walk us through this, so.
Walk it through. So we started by looking, I did a search across other Massachusetts cities and towns that had EV bylaws. Interesting enough, there wasn't much out there. So that's what came to build this version that you have. Looked at, there's some the state has some publications as well in terms of, then there's some technical guidance from different trades on EV and permitting processes. So we arrived at this. I know Peter has made some comments on it as well. So here before you tonight is the version that we're walking through.
Yeah, I think.
And this is,
We should mention for just everybody, this is not a first draft. We've had informal discussions that towards the end of our planning board meetings to build this, but
Yes.
now is the public hearing, so.
yes,
just-
now is a public hearing.
Yeah.
And one of the changes in terms of the big picture on this is that it's commercial EV charging stations that we're talking about going through the site plan process.
Right.
It made it clear,
Not residential.
not residential. The stretch code deals with residential EV charging stations. Now, the only, as I just said that, if there are residential projects that potentially come through the planning board where there'll be EV charging stations, but they'll be through the site plan process.
Okay.
Through 611. So like if somebody's doing a mixed-use project, there'll be residential there. So anyway, that's where they'll be in terms of that site plan process. The other thing is, it is allowed in every district now. It wasn't before. It was the B1, and then in the November town meeting, we added to the C6 zone, which is formerly Southwood Hospital zone area. And then we added it by special permit in residential districts for commercial EV charging stations.
Yep.
And the reason why we did that is there is EV charging companies that approached the town, said, hey, maybe you might want to put one at an elementary school where there's playing fields. That's in a residential district.
Gotcha.
So that's why we added it. But we added by special permit because it might be a more sensitive area in terms of context, but they're allowed there by special permit. So that's kind of the intro, where we're at.
Okay.
And then similar comment to what Melissa pointed out with the ADU, again, no public hearing. It just goes to the planning board for site plan, abbreviated site plan review. I'll call it its own little site plan review, which is EV. So we're changing it to, again, public meeting. I suspect that, you know, as we go through that, they might normalize and maybe this is not even, we'll be back at this. So this is our first generation EV zoning bylaw.
Just a comment on the I in parentheses here, I don't think it should be in parentheses.
E-code will fix it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh, okay.
With the top, yeah. It'll get,
Okay.
Oh, there. Well, we probably should fix it though.
we can fix it.
Yeah.
I just thought for the warrant.
Yeah, no, we should fix it. So it should be what?
Just,
Let's put a pin in it.
Parentheses.
You can fix it later.
Okay.
But 3I, we have non-commercial vehicle electrical charging stations designed and installed to only serve the occupants of a property development shall be processed with the underlying permits. Do we need to list what those underlying permits are? I feel like we missed something in that sentence. It doesn't feel complete to me.
So non-commercial electric vehicle charging station. So when you say non-commercial, does that mean outside of the house or inside of the garage?
I think it could be both.
You could have both. Because
But, yeah, and you need a permit for sure.
you'd need a permit.
So applicability.
For either one. But really, I guess,
Electrical permit.
right.
I think the way it's worded is that way. It is ambiguous. It's like you need to go to the town and get whatever permits are
I guess the word underlying is what's killing me. Like, underlying is
saying-
typically preceding a list of things
Or-
that you're.
Yeah.
applicable or
Do you want,
appropriate
do you want
permits.
like applicable or,
Applicable permits.
there you go.
Sure.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Skip over it? No. Utilities instead of utilizes. There was a drafting under 4.
4A sounds weird.
Sounds weird.
Yeah, why would we care if it's the most convenient spots or not?
In 4A?
Yeah, 4A. I think that's up to the building owner. I mean, if it's cheaper for them to do it closer to the property rather than running pipe all the way to the back of their parking lot, I don't want to have to like tell them, no, you can't do it to the front because that's too convenient. And what if somebody in an EV charging spot is handicapped?
Maybe change the word shall to may not.
Then we can strike the entire line.
I know, then you can kind of get rid of it all.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would strike that first line and just go with design should be appropriate for the location and use.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 4C, no minimum number of electric vehicle parking spaces are required, but they are by the state.
Yeah. Well, that's the state. And it's going to change as you just heard earlier tonight.
So then we need to say something that says minimum required by,
For state requirement.
Huh?
For state requirement.
per state requirement or local jurisdiction, whichever provides more.
Uh, 4C goes into a maximum number, though.
Yeah.
So, but it just says number.
Well,
That's the subject.
20%, yeah.
Oh,
don't
Not
think-
more than
And I
20%.
don't think we can because that's what the state's gonna end up going to. And what if the state decides, well, it needs to be 30? Then we have to revise our bylaw.
The chair, if I can comment, Peter Diamond.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
So on new constructions where the building code will come in, but if they're gonna put a commercial EV charging station down at the Pine Street Medical Building, then the building code wouldn't have purview over it because the building's already built.
That's right. Yep, good point. Yeah, so existing,
So now they're coming in front of you for a permit to put the commercial EV charging station in, so then maybe this language would apply.
I see.
Yeah, but why should I put a upper limit on how many they're putting in?
Good point.
But we don't all have EV vehicles yet.
Right, but if you're doing your entire lot, then the assumption is that you're allowing regular gas vehicles to use spots that are available. But if you happen to have an EV charging spot, then it's fine.
So I'll just park my gas vehicle in the EV parking spot.
If every single spot is open, yeah, and they're all EV charging.
Can you grab a microphone?
Introduce yourself as well. I mean, I don't think we're gonna
So
get
you're
to that
thinking of
point.
maybe removing it, is what you're getting at,
Right,
but-
like, I don't think we need to be saying anything about the maxes or mins, to be honest with you. I think we do from the minimum perspective, but we align it with what the state says. You know, with regards to whatever the state set as their minimum for new buildings, if
construction.
you're looking to add it to an existing structure, then this is what you have to apply by. We just extend it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, my name's Nick Valuri, East Coast Renewable. The two locations for the charging stations that I'm here for, Pine Street and Cottage Car Wash, yes, you guys are 100% correct with the gentleman that because the building is pre-existing, I don't see why this is an issue, okay? And even the new construction, which we talked about, the gentleman over here, that the building has to be ready, okay? So you guys are already identifying that the new buildings have to have EV ready. So, and I appreciate having bylaws that you guys want to have, but the bylaws aren't even set. You identified that this gentleman over here has to have whatever, it's 10 or 20% you guys identified.
Well, that was the code, right?
Right, that's a state requirement,
Yeah.
right?
I understand
Right.
it's the state code. But then the gentleman, right, Cottage Car Wash and Pine Street, the building's already there. And it's basically, the state is really promoting all these charging stations.
Right.
So what we're going over here is, it almost seems like it's redundant because you're hitting what the state code is.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I'm just so confused with,
Yeah. The only thing is the
That's
state's.
what you're saying, Chris, right?
Yeah, that aligns with what I'm saying. I'm saying whatever we put in here, we just say we're aligning with the minimum number of what the state is, and there's no upper bounds. Or we don't even touch the upper bounds piece.
The only difference is well, there is a difference, I guess, and if you want to not have a limit, that's fine. But this is a commercial enterprise so the medical center decided to convert it all to EV, and now people want to go there for a medical center, they can't find spots.
so that's incorrect. So
Why?
the state law does not require
No,
the level 3 charges, which is at the medical center, the cottage. It does not require that only electric vehicles can park there. There's no statement. Even that whole lot was filled with car charging stations. It doesn't say that only electrical vehicles can park there. Any car can park there. That's state law for the level 3. But put on by Eversource and National Grid.
Yeah, but what Rich is saying is if that is all 100%, then someone who's traveling with a Tesla that needs a quick charge, they're going to be pointed to that location, and then that's going to be overrun by people who are just looking for vehicle charging and aren't patronizing the location.
But that's up to the...
Exactly, that's what my statement was going to be. That would be up to the person to ensure they're keeping a proper ratio versus, another revenue stream.
But we're also talking about, in both scenarios, 3 charging stations that's going to take up 6 parking spots.
Yeah.
In your situation, yes.
Yeah, we've got to play the devil's advocate on the extremes on this, right?
I get it, but, unfortunately, there's people here who've been waiting for these charging stations to get in. We're taking revenue out of their pockets, okay?
Yep.
Not only charge revenue, but also people going to that facility and experiencing what these locations have. Because I know I'm an electric vehicle charger, right? And I don't just sit in my car for 10, 15, 20 minutes. I get out of the car and walk around and see what's there.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're like...
Yep, nope, we hear you, we appreciate that. This is just the process that we go through, and we make sure that we're doing the best for the town. I throw things up there from an idea perspective, Rich knocks them down, we add to them. It's all part of the soup.
Yeah, it's also something that we should mention here is that we're not just talking about the 2 deals that you have going on. This is the bylaw for the entire town, so we need to go through all of these scenarios to make sure that it's the right decision for the town and what we're proposing to our residents of the town to ask them to approve.
And I appreciate that, but just consider that all the residences will be able to take advantage of these charging stations.
Absolutely.
Including the town, because I was the one who came to the town about putting charging stations into the town.
Right.
I mean, so I know the town wants to put the charging stations in for the townspeople.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Mike, 36 Pine Street, Clutch Car Wash. I mean, I see a lot of stuff going on here, but we do have electric chargers in town, correct?
Not at this point.
Stony Brook doesn't have them?
Oh, they do.
And what about the fire station? There's 4 down there.
The fire station has them?
So, I mean, are we reinventing the wheel?
No, we're not reinventing the wheel. It's just we don't have a bylaw for it. So like right now, you're not zoned for it. So we got to create the zoning for it.
Well,
that's what we're doing.
They're there if you want to check it out. And I'm just wondering.
The fire station's in the B1 where they're allowed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
What about Stony Brook, though?
Stony Brook came in under I would say we probably don't want to revisit Stony Brook. So they probably shouldn't have been there in the first place, but
Probably not.
Okay.
because that was forced upon the town by Eversource with them.
Yeah. So we only have
that's
it
a good
available in certain districts right now, so we're trying to get a proposal for
No, I
town
understand,
meeting.
but I would assume that if the fire station has 4 stations, that it's already written somewhere.
It's
For B1. For the B1 district, for just that area.
Yeah, they're just allowed in that zone, in that district. That's it. So in the B1, which is our core downtown. So in your zoning district, it's currently not allowed. So that's why we're in the process of developing this.
So you can obviously show it for that B1 district, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll at the end here, there'll be a use table to show all the districts and what's allowed, and it'll be on there.
But I'm just trying to get to, we already have a pole in. I mean, we've had permits with Eversource. It's been over a year.
Yep.
So we're just trying to,
It's going to be a little bit longer if we can't get through this part of the process.
by putting them in.
Yeah.
And now we can't seem to get them in.
Well, we're
Trying to get the bylaw.
they were close to the finish
town
line.
meeting so that they
Right.
can get approved.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal here. I think we're all on the same page that we want to get this done. We want to get it done right. We gotta get this bylaw identified so that it gets on at our town meeting in May. So then
Then gets voted.
that way we can vote on it as a town in May at the town meeting.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So this is just we can remove it. All this is saying though is, there's a limit, but you can allow for more than that. So there's an upper limit on that in this provision.
Yeah, I'm still of the mind that we let that be on the property owner to decide the upper limit. I think we just align the
I'm fine
lower
with
limit
taking it
with
out.
whatever the state
So
law
then I
is
would-
prescribing.
Then we would just remove it.
It's fine.
Remove
C?
all of C?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no minimum and no maximum, and there's nothing left.
I think we killed D too.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
You can't have
I
D
don't
without
think you
C.
can have D without, right.
And it sounds like E, we can't dedicate spaces just for electric vehicles.
Which one? Say that again?
E, based on what we can dedicate just for.
You can dedicate it, but anybody can, for level,
Yeah, get a microphone.
So Nick Valori, East Coast Renewable. Based upon the current incentive for the level 3 chargers, anybody can park there.
Right.
But the level 2 incentive, which is all that's available right now, that's part of the Mass EVIP program, that is dedicated to only electric vehicles.
Okay.
Okay? So as the incentive changes, I'd imagine you have to go back and change the bylaws.
Right.
I
But
see.
with what we're talking with Pine Street and Cottage Car Wash, anybody can park there. It's
Yep.
not,
I'm good. I don't need the individual ones. I'm just worried about.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm just trying to make it
worries.
clear. I thank you for listening to me. I'm just trying to help you guys out.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so signage, is it worth it for us to keep this in here or not? Or do we say each signage is based on requirements?
Let's think about each vehicle to be posted outside the space. Well, based on what you just,
Based upon what we heard, that's contradictory to level 3.
Right.
So we either strike the whole thing and just, I think you strike the whole thing and you just go to, and then that way we're silent on it and we let the current state regulations dictate.
Okay.
yeah.
But what if there are tow-away provisions or,
So they would have to put up signage for that anyway, on their own. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do it.
okay.
Or they could do it, but they'd get, you know.
Yeah.
And then the information identifying voltage and amperage levels,
That's gonna get posted,
it should be required, but do we have to say that or is that automatically done?
No.
it should be done automatically.
I think that's also something that the electrical inspector is going to be looking for as well.
Would imagine they must have it for the consumer to know.
Right.
I would strike that whole,
Okay.
Yeah, so C, D, and E is gone.
Which is now the new C,
Okay.
because I already took out the other ones.
And you're striking this C?
I'm gonna strike this one.
Now signage is going too, right?
F is fine.
So C, so that's gone.
So we got A, B, C, and D?
Is F maintenance,
F is accessibility.
accessibility,
Yeah.
which is now C.
Yeah, so it's like if you have a handicap spot, you can't put a charging station here where, for lack of a better term, the hose is connecting to the vehicle and then cutting off a pathway for a wheelchair to get into a building.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one. Maintenance, charging station equipment shall be maintained in all respects.
All right.
I'm fine with G.
Fine.
So site plan for existing parking areas. I think you mean utilities, not utila.
Yeah.
It's already been fixed in the doc.
Okay,
Yeah, Melissa caught that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then add in permitted
On B,
on B? Oh, which is now
It's still B.
still B.
Yeah, that's what it is.
okay, good with that. You also have 4 twice. You caught that already?
Oh, yeah. Design criteria and site plan existing parking areas.
All right, I'm good with one. The first one. Anybody else have anything else to say on one?
We got definitions.
That's the next.
Oh, that's the next one, I'm sorry.
Next one.
So no comments on that one. Betsy, any comments from anybody on Zoom or in the room? Okay. All right, so then the next one is to talk about section 310-2.1, which is definitions.
Yep.
So we have a new definition for building.
Did we not have one previously?
We did,
Yeah,
but the thing, there was, the definition for
Oh, I see it
building
at top.
structure were,
Yeah.
yeah.
This isn't going to be like the stories definition, is it? Where I'm going to be fighting you for a while.
Please no.
I don't think so. I think it's pretty clear. We had to make this so we can get those EV if they want to be in the front yard. Because there are structures, that was the, why we did that.
I don't have any comments, okay. Then we have to define electric vehicle.
Melissa changed it so it says
Oh, that was just a typo. There you go.
typo, right? And then moved up in order the electric vehicle infrastructure, just in order.
And then we have electric vehicle charging station.
So then we cleaned up structure below.
Electric vehicle charging station commercial.
I can't recall exactly.
Why do we have two?
Peter Diamond through the chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
So a commercial EV charging station is a charging station where the user pays to use it. And that's what you're trying to regulate. You're not trying to regulate a regular EV charging station. An example would be one at someone's house.
Gotcha.
An example maybe at that site plan review you just did at 8 Sharon Ave.
Yep.
6 Bay building. He's gonna have to put in EV-ready parking spaces. He may put in a charger that's not pay to use for his employees. So that would be an EV charging station, non-commercial.
Gotcha.
A commercial one is one that someone pays to use, like at the fire station, like at Stony Brook.
Yep.
Like what the two people in your audience are proposing. Those are all going to have to be registered with the Division of Standards. They're going to supervise them and make sure that the users are getting the amount of charge they're paying for and so forth.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the clarification, Peter. So would it be helpful to call it non-commercial? Because it's not residential. I don't want people to get, it's non-commercial. You're providing it, but you're not charging. I mean, it's just like Peter said, it's a different service.
Are you saying have non-commercial in the first definition?
Yep, in the first definition.
And then commercial in the second?
Yeah, the first
Okay.
definition should be comma, non-commercial.
Is everyone good with that?
Okay, and then we got commercial. And you have electric vehicle infrastructure. Okay, and then electric vehicle supply equipment. Okay. Then we have structure.
Why structure? Why not assemblage?
Assemblage?
It was in the other one. The old definition.
I was just trying to revisit the story, half story.
More?
Let's not go down that road.
Yeah, I'm good.
I think that's fine. Structure, okay. Is that it then for definitions?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments on the definition piece?
Is there a change in structure 2? There's nothing bold,
No,
new, so why is it there?
it's just included
I think it's,
to show what the new definition
yeah, it's
is.
part of the whole section. That's why.
It's remaining as it is.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
the article is to
Put in the bold would be new.
add the bold and remove the strike through, and so that needs to be there. Yep. Okay, so that is,
And then the last.
now we need the use table.
Use table. Yeah,
That's an easy one.
that one's easy.
I made no changes. That one's probably way at the bottom.
So my only question is, can we remove the ones that we're not doing any changes to, like we did for the ADUs, just to make it easier for people to see?
Say it again.
Like everything that we're not touching, can we just remove that
In the table,
on the table?
when you get there.
Zoning next.
We've got 1,
Which file is
2,
the table in?
I'm gonna pull up this.
Schedule of use regulations, EV charging stations.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 rows that we're not touching, but we're showing them so that we can illustrate that we're changing 1 row.
Yeah,
I thought you actually did change that in some version.
Let me look at the.
Or maybe,
I
maybe I'm
like
thinking of
what you're,
ADUs.
yeah. Why show all the other stuff if there's no changes?
Yeah, it's just gonna confuse everybody.
It just,
I thought it was a good precedent that we were setting with the ADUs. Let's keep going. Let's do
That's
it.
probably the one I'm thinking of. That was nice and clean.
well, the ADU is all new. It wasn't there. This
No,
is.
it wasn't, because we had accessory structures.
That's right, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we have a row in here about commercial electric vehicle station,
And we'll have one for non-commercial as well.
right, but we don't have that right now.
We should add that. It's a good call.
What's that?
Oh,
We
yeah.
now have a new bold line for
Is that in
commercial.
residential uses though?
Non-commercial, because these same zoning districts, because just like Peter had mentioned that the 8 Sharon, they could have non-commercial charging stations that they provide to their employees, but don't charge.
Right.
There's no revenue stream on it. It's just, hey, we're providing it as a convenience for our employees.
So should we
Those
call
are
it a...
handled through the stretch code. I mean, through the electric code.
So we don't need a specific
No.
use for that?
We had it in there, we took it out.
Okay.
Peter, right? And I think
Yes, I don't think you need non-commercial. It's regulated by the building and the electrical code.
Okay.
Just like you wouldn't have a line item, a generator on someone's property.
Okay.
Okay.
We can, yeah, we could,
Keep it simple. If we
Yeah,
don't
keep-
need
Okay,
it, don't-
that's fine. If we don't need it, we don't need it. What,
yeah. No, but you want to cut down the rows in this section?
You just want to take out the
Yeah, just
ones
cut
that
the-
aren't
cut out the
applicable.
rows.
take all, yeah, just have the one row that we're changing.
Keep the title, and then keep the commercial real estate. I mean, commercial electrical, commercial vehicle charging station thing.
Electric vehicle.
Blah.
Right. Because otherwise, we're not changing anything, so why draw attention to it?
Taking up space.
Oh, it's going to take up space when we print the warrant and everything.
It's the password policy. It probably changed
Sure.
for me.
Okay, so it's only that one line, right? The
Yep.
rest of them were all.
Just that one line.
Sorry.
So this is where,
I never
this is where the gentleman, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. So on this table, it shows B1, it was always allowed as a yes. So this was an allowed use, electrical charging, commercial, was allowed in the B1, that's the fire station. It just, that was there previously. It was not allowed.
That just showed up there? I mean, that
No,
didn't
that
go
was
to a
done
town
when-
meeting or anything?
That did.
No,
when we
it
did
was
the
at a
B1
town meeting.
updates, Yeah.
But you're saying years ago or what?
Yeah, years ago, yeah. Yeah, and so that's what,
That long, though.
2021.
well, I don't know. 2021.
Since 21.
So we're changing that, so it was currently not allowed, and you can see we struck out all those no's and we're changing those to yeses.
I think we're C1, right? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
C1?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which C, I don't.
You're C1 off highway, I
C1
believe.
something.
Yeah.
So
You went on,
He's on?
he's on.
He's on.
He's
Oh,
cottage.
that's right.
He's
That's
cottage
right,
car wash.
yeah.
they both are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Near the bowl,
Yep. So you're the C1 on highway. And so now we're changing it. So it was not for previously allowed, but the fire station was because it was in the B1 zoning district. So they've had that capability for a few years.
So we recommend these changes at town meeting, we vote on it, and then it becomes official.
And then the permit process can continue or start or...
C6 in November.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, you see B1 is a yes, that's the downtown. C6 is also yes, we're not changing it. C6 is the old Southwood Hospital, the 111
Yeah,
Dedham Street,
right.
which we changed just C6, everything in C6, in the whole table, we did that at the last town meeting when we voted on the Southwood stuff. But now we're here to talk about all the EV stuff, so that's why we're changing.
That was when something was going to go on up at the old Southwood Hospital.
Yep.
But now, we have to do the permit changes now anyway because of the new laws. I'm assuming with any new construction, it's going to have them mandated by the state?
That's right. Yep.
For once.
Okay. All right. Any other changes? I think that looks good.
Yep.
Okay, EV, all three of those, good? Great. Next, zoning board of appeals, planning board granting authority. So that's...
This is pretty standard language, right?
Yeah, it's pretty, we're just changing
the when it's triggered and then the master plan number.
Right, so once Rich does pull this up,
so can we change number 7 to not denote to the 2024 master plan? And can we just denote it to the most recent?
it's going to be, say, current.
Okay, to the current.
Yeah, we're going to change it to current.
Otherwise,
That way it's always current.
up to date. Oh, I see what you did there.
You want to send you the link so you have it easily?
Pun intended.
I know.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so Rich has it on the screen here, so yeah, we're proposing this language to section 310-7.6D. Item 6, we're just...
Changes in 6.
Yeah. So approval with the planning board when the planning board approval is required.
Yeah, so we wanted to, essentially throughout the years, this has been on the books this way in terms of proper site plan file with the planning board. Not all the special permits that the ZBA has before them requires planning board approval. So we wanted to clarify with this version that if it requires a site plan approval from the planning board, it would so in accordance with 6.1.
All right.
So essentially, in many cases, the ZBA would just ignore it because it wasn't required. So I just want to clean the language up. And then the other one, obviously, it says current.
Yeah, and then 7, we're changing it to the current master plan so that it's not tied to
a date.
A date anymore. It's whatever the current master plan is that's been adopted by the town.
Yes. So
okay. Questions on that? Anybody? Okay. So then the next is floodplain bylaw.
Yep. Floodplain. We did get notice from FEMA, the floodplain map. New date.
July 8th, 2025. So you're changing the date in 2 places in the document.
Yes.
And then you're also striking out.
Yeah, DCR wants us to strike the address. We don't.
Okay. All right.
I move that we do date, month, and year. No, I'm joking.
Stop.
European.
Okay, then questions on that, comments?
Nope.
Okay. The next is the estate lots.
Why are we changing this?
State law?
Yeah.
Just a time frame. The permit will be consistent with state law in terms of how good it's for.
So 3 years instead of 2.
Yep, so we're changing the permit from
we talked.
2 to 3 year to
Yeah, so
align
it's-
with the state.
Right, and then the general section of the special permit will change as well. That was only a year, so it's quite a bit
Yeah,
behind.
so is this another one where we should just point to the state statute? As opposed to putting a number at it?
I would just leave it like this.
Okay.
It's kind of helpful to the person getting the permit.
Right.
As opposed to then going to the statute to look for, for a date.
Yeah.
I would.
And then it'll probably.
Thank you.
3 years.
Thank you.
If you guys ever need anything on the EV questions, I'm happy to help you guys out.
Yep.
Most of you guys have my contact information.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. So
I don't think they'll be changed anytime soon.
I would leave it.
That's fine. I like
Yeah.
And then
language referencing. I'm
it's a
doing
good
a lot of
point.
policy work, and wherever I can point to other documents or other things, it makes a lot of sense, because then you don't have to worry about cascading changes.
Right.
But yes, I hear you. I get it. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And then the last one is special permits.
Correct.
That's changing from 1 to 3.
Yes.
Again, to align to the state.
State law allowance for up to 3 years.
Yep.
Sweet.
Okay. So,
So then we need to vote them.
Do we need
apply
supporting
to-
documentation for this?
Yeah, don't we want to see the changes in front of us first and vote on it next time we meet?
Melissa made all the changes.
Oh, they're alive?
Yeah, they were live. I was watching.
It's super fantastic.
All right.
We're so efficient.
So, so the question I have is there a need to keep this public hearing open?
Any of these?
What's that?
Well, I mean, for any of the series that we just.
For any of this series, we did updated everything live here tonight, so we saw all that. I'm just wondering if there was a need for some reason to keep it open until until April, and then close it then.
For convenience of seeing it, you can continue until then, and we'll give you the final thing and just bless it on the 8th if you want.
Yeah, I think that I don't think there's any harm in doing that.
We won't go through it all, like.
We're not gonna go through it all.
When are you trying to present it to advisory, or they prefer if we're
Haven't
done
heard
with
of
this?
this, I haven't got a date yet from them, so.
But I think these are close to final, if not final. So I don't think there'll be any changes.
So you
Well,
can
then I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the zoning bylaw amendments, for the 3 for the electrical vehicle charging, the zoning board of appeals, planning board, and permit granting authority, the floodplain, the estate lots, and the special permits will be postponed until or continued until our April 8th, 2025 meeting at
just piggyback.
Yeah, you do like 7:35.
7:35 PM.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right, so that's been continued. So now you're looking for a vote, Rich, right, to send these to, have we already sent these onto
Yeah,
Select?
yeah, you already did. So
That's what I thought, okay.
So
Okay.
just your final vote will be on the 8th. and then-
Yeah, okay.
No vote then.
I just wanted to make sure that we've already, okay.
It's a good,
New business?
new business. New business,
Meeting
old
minutes?
business, some business. We have 2 people online, relative to, 7 Hill Street.
Okay.
So I would,
You want to jump down there?
yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, let's go down to 7 Hill.
So we can go out of order.
Okay. So 7 Hill Street is to vote to extend the delivery of the affordable units.
Yes.
So moved.
That was easy. So there was a letter
So, yep.
and, from 7 Mill Street Builders LLC, explaining what's delayed them in terms of progressing on, which in part is probably because of all the initiatives with all these EV charging stations and transformers that they put those ahead of building homes in the state of Massachusetts.
Can you share it? So
sure, I'll share it. I just thought it'd be important to share that with you.
So I'm sorry, I was interrupting. You were saying that there's potential that the state or the electrical company, not the state, the electrical companies were prioritizing EV.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the word on the secondary market that I heard.
Could be. I don't know.
Okay. For transformers, but anyway.
I don't have insight into that, but maybe.
Let me. I'll pull the letter up. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So Rich is pulling the letter up so you can see it on. All right, so while Rich, okay, so we do have, I believe, is it Bob on the line? Is that right, Bob?
Yeah.
Yep, so we have Bob Baker from Seven Hill Holdings here. If you want to just, quick 30 seconds.
Elevator pitch.
All right, we can read what, we saw this, we read it, so you don't have to reread it. Just give us a quick recap.
So ultimately what happened is that we phased the project in 2 phases, and it was all based on the availability of permanent power. And Eversource kind of hung us out to dry in this case. So we had the first 8 units up and ready. We got inspected, all inspected and approved, and it got submitted, and we waited 10 months for them to deliver us a 50 kV transformer in the first phase. In the meantime, over the winter, we had they were all up and finished, so we had to run diesel generators to keep them, heated and, not going bad. And then, so in the meantime, we got that up and running. We immediately went to phase 2. Same thing, we had the inspection. Well, they changed their rules and told us that we wouldn't receive a second transformer until we had a building up with the meter socket on a building, and once we did that and called in for the inspection, they would get us a second transformer. Well, in the meantime, the code changed, and they required EV chargers to be wired in these units, which in turn requires more power, and it changed the whole design of the plan. So we had to go back to Eversource. Eversource had to redesign it, blah, blah, blah. Here we sit, 20 months later, we receive that second transformer, and without literally begging them for it. And in the meantime, we're just paying straight interest on all these units, and we're just kind of, chugging ahead to keep it above. So we're at this phase now. I've given Susan all the info that needed, and so she's in the process of getting it approved through the state for the affordable unit, but all these units are up now. And so, we're literally sitting on them. There's 10 units left. So 6 of the first 10 units we were looking for permission to sell before she, could sell that unit 17, which in turn will be inevitable. It'll be sold. It'll probably be sold before we sell our units, unfortunately. So that's where we stand. So we're just looking for permission for that. There are there'll still be 4 units left there that, that could be held if need be.
Okay.
So I'm sharing the spreadsheet so you can just see in terms of this is.
Can I chime in for a quick second?
Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
So I just want to explain that we could not seek approval to do the lottery for this unit because I can't get an affordable buyer and qualify them and have them have no idea when the unit's going to be ready because of power. because as we've all seen in the housing market over the last year, I may have approved them a year ago when interest rates were lower, and now they don't qualify because the interest rates are higher. So it's almost impossible for me to keep a buyer on the hook for that long that's going to remain a qualified buyer. The process through EHOLC is, I submit a local initiative program where I request authorization to sell this unit. I provide an affirmative fair marketing plan, and quite frankly, it can be approved as quickly as 30 days. It can take 60 days because it can take longer. They're doing this for the entire, all of these programs through the state. So it's not just Norfolk that they're taking care of, and it really put them in a very difficult position. And as we are seeing our housing market, none of us have a crystal ball, but what I don't want to see happen is our housing market take a dive and we end up with a project that is half complete because we didn't allow the developer to move forward and sell some additional units before we were able to sell the affordable unit. In a perfect scenario, we would have been able to, if they got power in a timely manner, have done a lottery and had this unit already sold. But because of what's gone on with Eversource, and it's still taking place in other developments that I'm working on now, where, power is basically being held hostage.
Wow.
So you were effectively in support of this?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Sue. Rich, you had a kind of a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'll pull it back up.
So what's on the spreadsheet then?
So it just gives you a rundown in terms of permits that were issued, framing, and then COs. So you see that column, there's 8 COs. The original special permit, the way it was granted, was deliverable, the affordable for the 9th market rate unit. So you can see there are still quite a few units left to be sold and CO'd as well. So I don't know how, so there's a range, right? So you can do, Bob is.
So units 13 through 18 will have CO, in the next week or two. We're there now. And unit 17 is the affordable unit.
Gotcha. I feel like, Sue supports it. I feel like my personal opinion is pretty low risk. I don't see a huge downside to it and keeps things moving forward.
Agree.
Any other comments, questions?
No, it's just unforeseen circumstances,
Yeah.
So Bob, what are you suggesting number-wise, I guess, prior to what?
We'd like the option to sell units 13 through 18, with 17 being affordable at this time, because they'll have occupancy.
Okay, and then what's left then? These other?
Looks like
9 through 12 will be left.
Okay.
Okay.
And they're in the rough right now. They'll be to the weather in the next couple weeks. Windows there, and they're going to be sided, and that's where we stand. Once we start moving some of those other units, then we'll proceed with those. But in the meantime, it's going to take a minute to move those.
So delivery of the affordable unit prior to occupancy of units 9, 10, 11, 12?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yep.
Yeah. And then that way we're not taking collateral on the other units.
Yeah. Right. Does that sound good?
Is that a motion?
Yep, so.
Oh, by the way, I should have said earlier. Apologize.
What's up?
You don't need to do a hearing, so this is administrative. I've spoke with counsel.
Okay.
I should have said that earlier.
So entertain a motion to delay the sale of 17.
And allow the sale.
And allow the sale of units 13 through 17.
Right.
With 13 through 18, with
13 through
unit
18,
17 being the affordable unit, which will need to be sold prior to receiving occupancy for units 9 through 12.
Yes, so moved.
It's good at that.
Can I have a second?
Second. Oh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, Bob and Sue. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Rich,
Let's have a move.
circle back
Move
up.
a little bit faster. Catch up.
Yep.
MacArthur Ave will not be ready for the spring town meeting. MacArthur Ave will need to be done by a taking, so we need to reach out to the property owners that the taking would need to come from to find out if they're okay waiving damages or not. If they're not okay waiving damages, then we'll need to have appraisals done, and then we'll have to come up with what that value might be. Now, this is only the section that's been constructed on MacArthur Ave. We're not, it coincides with that little hammerhead that's there, not the remaining amount, not the remaining section of MacArthur Avenue.
Right.
But there's about 13 property owners that have interest in it that we need to get their, so needless to say, there's not enough time to line this up for May.
Okay.
Considered to be the case, so that'll be something for the fall. Avery Way is ready. Avery Way did not come before you. It was a 40B that went through the permitting process with the Zoning Board of Appeals. It was the 55 and over development that's off of Village Green.
Okay.
If you've driven in that area of town. Because the street acceptance process is dictated by statute, it will come to you from the select board for referral. So technically you have to recommend it. There will come with a recommendation from DPW and so forth.
Okay.
Like it does, it's just that you haven't been involved with it because it's not something that's been before the planning board. So, so the select board are going to refer to you at their next meeting, and so this will be something for the 8th of April meeting. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Yep. Do we want to go back to the top, do meeting minutes?
Can I see your, the printed meeting minutes from last time? There was one thing that we noticed earlier, that Eric noticed. It's on the second page. Oh, okay. So underneath, where it says Pondville Crossing 40B project on the last page of the meeting notes from 2/11, it just looks like there's a word missing after Mr. McCarthy. Probably Mr. McCarthy said that or something. Just, so that's the only thing. Nothing major. Eric just noticed it. I missed it. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the planning board from Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. And Betsy will make the update that we just mentioned there on page 3 under Pondville Crossing 40B project.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Thank you, Melissa. Everett Street, right of refusal?
Yes, so.
Right of first refusal, I'm sorry.
Oh, I see a hand up from Peter. Is that?
Peter, do you have a question?
Avery Way, were you gonna recommend that to the selectmen for approval for the town, as a town road? Is that what the discussion was?
Yeah, yes, yep. Yep.
So that's a 40B project, and typically 40B projects maintain their own roads, so I'm trying to understand what the advantage is to have the town take responsibility for it. Rich?
I wouldn't, the town of Norfolk, in terms of the collective body, I'm not sure necessarily I could tell you why there'd be an advantage. However, it was permitted through the zoning board of appeals as Avery Way would be a public road. Same for Lakeland Hills, which is not ready yet, but I'm just letting you know, heads up, and same with Wade's Crossing. So I can't, I really...
Is it the difference in Chapter 90 funds? Is that what our benefit would be?
Well, we definitely would get Chapter 90 funds by having it as a public way.
Other than that, we're responsible for all the repairs, the repaving in the future, the plowing, and so forth.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is something that we got backed into by the zoning board?
More or less.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Everett Street, right of first refusal.
Yeah, so I thought, I'm sharing my screen because I think it might be better than just the, but this is the parcel. I have it highlighted. So it is chapter land. As part of the chapter land process, when it was proposed to be purchased for conversion, which this is proposed to be conversion.
61B is like forestry?
Forestry, yeah. 61B is forestry. Pretty straightforward in the letter to the select board in terms of potential 40B project is one of the things they listed as potential use of the property. There's been discussion that I think there is value in the town exercising its option to purchasing it. Maybe for some scaled affordable housing down the road that the town is involved with that comes up with a proposal, but also preservation of land in that way.
Yeah, I think at like $285,000, it's kind of a cheap way to protect some of that land in an area that's just getting bombarded with other developments right now.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So the select board is looking for your thoughts on the matter. So if you, I surmise you would probably support exercising the I'd
support exercising.
Are other departments also looking to exercise that, or
yes,
is it?
Yeah, it's making its way around. Yes.
Yes, I mean that's. We should support it. Yeah, Peter?
Rich, is that GIS? Can you layer the wetlands on that?
I can, yeah. Let me,
it's the bottom left.
The bottom left, yeah.
There's a couple of brooks in it.
Yeah, let me show you the other, let me pull up the other one though. Screen share my other one. I'll put the wetlands on it.
What is the one on the wall? How much of that is wetland?
Yeah, it's like this.
On the left.
This whole area here.
And then there's some to the right of number 6.
Yeah, it just kind of does like this, and then there's some in here.
There's a couple of brooks in there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna.
But still, with that road frontage, that could be a lot of.
It's showing the pond.
Yeah, so let me go back. 1 second. Where's my? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there's the wetlands.
So see the.
Okay.
Fixed now?
I think so. So there's your wetlands.
Yeah, there's your wetlands.
And the two blue streams of brooks.
No.
We got the echo still.
Donna, is that your laptop? Maybe. Yeah, Donna's not on Zoom.
And you're muted.
I'm muted.
I'm not on Zoom.
I'm not on Zoom.
My phone is not on Zoom.
It's your microphone.
It's Rich's microphone? Yeah.
So it's your laptop somehow. All right, Rich is on mute. Now talk, Rich.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I think we're good.
There's something from when you were sharing your screen.
Okay, we're back in business. Okay.
Okay. So you
Yeah,
saw,
I mean-
you saw the wetlands.
Yeah, we say it's wet, but I still feel it's,
Well, no, here's the thing. It is wet. However, if somebody were to propose a 40B, then you throw out all the local zoning bylaws, the wetland bylaw.
Right.
And now you're dealing with
Not the entirety of the wetland bylaw. There's some protections still.
not the local wetland.
Right, just the
Right, that
state
goes
one.
away.
Right.
So then all the buffering, I mean, yes, they have to still adhere to the Wetlands Protection Act, but it what may seem like a not very feasible development under the Norfolk zoning bylaws becomes a much more scaled up, intense development under 40B, potentially.
I don't think we can risk that right now with the other two
Right.
40Bs.
What's the intent for the property? Just sit on it if they buy it? What are we going to do?
Town-wise?
Yeah, did Sue have a plan to build a couple houses on it?
I don't think as of yet. I don't think.
It would be like long-term though. In short-term, it's already
Essentially, you
forested
gotta-
land, right? We could,
Yeah, you gotta bank it and then figure it out. You don't really have,
Okay. And how large is the parcel?
13 acres, I think.
And is this funding source intended to be CPC, or where's this coming from?
it might come from the Affordable Housing Trust. They're working on the funding source.
okay.
Yeah, so there's a few pieces in terms of just speaking with town council, in terms of legally, how to work quickly. I mean, the good thing is we're in the
window.
Town window time.
Right.
Which is good.
When is that clock some finish, and what other votes need to
My
happen?
understanding is they might have not properly given us notice, so the clock technically might not have started. But if they, let's be conservative and say they did.
Yeah.
It's 120 days, so the date is, what's it say on the letter?
February 5th?
February 8th, well, I received it on February 18th.
18th.
Yeah.
So that'd be May 18th.
So what other votes are required?
Wait, 120, it'd be June.
What's that?
Is there a townwide vote that's required to?
Just town meeting vote.
Town meeting vote.
Be town meeting, just appropriate the money. If it goes from town funds, it's possible, it's being explored that maybe the trust would buy it, and thereby they wouldn't have to go through a town meeting process. They could, that's.
And does it have to have some kind of other appraisal too before it can be?
Appraised value?
No, I don't.
Is the 285 already the appraised value? Is that?
It's the offer.
That's the offer.
Yeah, I thought there was an appraised.
We can't buy anything for more than
So
appraised value.
CPC wise, there's appraisals involved in the CPC on buying land. I'm not sure that still applies to the trust. That's something that we need to find out.
I think they're limited by appraised value.
The trust?
The CPC.
CPC is,
definitely.
yes. No, I do know that. They are limited by the appraised value, but
Okay, so for tonight.
This body is if you
So we-
recommend trying to pursue it, that's all they need.
So do you need a vote that, or just
Yeah, I
our
think we
discussion?
should do the vote, sure.
So, I'd like to entertain a motion to exercise the right of first refusal for, what's the address?
What is that address, Rich?
Or is there an address?
Everett Street.
Just Everett.
I think it has an address.
Everett Street is parcel ID 25.
Yeah, there you go. So,
9-1.
yeah, so Everett Street, parcel ID 25-89-1.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So the next is Norway Farms. So it sounds like we heard at our last meeting that Mr. Kane
It was actually an overpayment.
had overpaid. Rich looked into it, and sure enough, there was an overpayment, so we need to correct that.
Did.
So,
I'll give the crack Betsy credit for that, so. she's the one that-
okay.
So I did research that. Mr. Kane did make two payments. The first payment was made. The first payment was made when we issued the after we made the modification.
September 14th.
Yep, there was a condition that Mr. Kane had to pay into the sidewalk fund, the $11,100. Subsequently, there was another payment made in the amount of $11,790. I researched it, I could not find a reason why he paid that.
Okay.
I even talked to, I met with Barry from the DPW, and he, to pick his brain, he couldn't
Okay.
figure out a reason. So, anyway, if you vote to refund that,
Yeah,
we will
any-
get that processed.
Any questions before we vote? Seems.
No, I think he explained this to us at the last meeting.
Yep, so I'd like to entertain a motion to refund $11,790 to Norway Farms Drive LLC for the overpayment into the off-site mitigation account.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Pickleball.
Pickleball.
Your favorite, Chris?
Yes. I think to provide context, I think the CPC representative to the board.
So
Start the
I am
conversation.
planning board's current representative sitting on CPC. So last town meeting, CPC voted to appropriate money to be used to build out pickleball courts at the Pond Street Recreation Facility. So where the volleyball court is in the front, it would become a pickleball, set of 3 pickleball courts. They were before us, I can't remember how long ago.
October.
October. And it was mentioned that they need site plan review. So the problem being that when this went to vote at town meeting, the monies involved did not include any money for something like site plan review. So because of that, there's a budget issue where there's just not enough money to get the pickleball courts done, which the town voted on with site plan review. So,
Man.
That was for drainage, right? Wasn't it? If I remember correctly, I
our
believe it was.
primary concerns in this meeting were because of drainage, because we're taking sand court area and turning that into impervious concrete.
We also had sightline concerns with regards to the fact that they were going to screen out the entire playground structure from the parking lot as well.
I don't recall that, but I'll take your word.
I remember.
But they voted on it already. It's been voted on or not?
They voted on allocating money for it.
Yeah, so the money has been appropriated by CPC, voted on at town meeting, right? So that money is ready and available. There's just not enough to cover construction of the pickleball courts with the additional.
And it's not a recreation department thing to pay for it? No. I don't know, I'm just
They
asking.
don't, from what I understand, the money's not there for that. Recreation works with CPC a lot to get a lot of these things done, like the lights out at Freeman
Yeah.
Kennedy Fields and stuff like that. CPC's paid for, so.
So you must have a quote for
Quotes aside, I think CPC just has questions and kind of wants answers from the planning board about, well, actually, it's more, I don't want to speak for CPC. I raised an issue like, hey, why are we costing our own taxpayers more money for something that probably isn't going to make a lick of difference? Maybe we should reconsider some things. And then, but, Rich showed me the way the bylaw is written, it does, this would trigger site plan review, so that was, we brought that to attention properly. It's not like we did anything wrong, it's not like CPC did anything wrong, it's not like Rec did anything wrong. What am I missing, Rich?
So we did the site plan review here.
No, we did a cursory, like a friendly handshake site plan
like
review.
Just a courtesy type thing.
Yeah, I'll help fill in a little. So last October, knowing that it had to go through site plan review, and then not knowing ahead of time, I was like, okay, well, what is it gonna cost to prepare the plans in order to file for site plan review? So reached out to an engineer, Bill Buckley, who came before you last fall, just informal discussion. So he came up with in terms of going through site plan review, a number which was substantial. It was $25,000, but it says that's what it takes to do all the engineering, planning, and permitting to go through the process. So that was a budget shock. And so then I'm fast forwarding, but basically if it came, so the question was, what does the cost for site plan review equal versus what you need to do to put the plans in order together to put it out for bid? There's a minimum, right? Whatever that, and then I didn't get a number, but it was much less, because it would be much less hours to put together. So the question is, if it came back to the planning board, just reviewing the stormwater aspect of it and addressing the comments at the board, because you did make comments about placement of the pickleball courts and fencing, would that be something that the board would consider entertaining to lower the cost? If not, then I guess we have to go to we're in a pause on the pickleball courts, because then I have to, not have to.
Do we have? The board's entertaining changing what they already want, going back or eliminating some features to save cost? Is that what you really said, or no?
On the project?
Yeah.
Yeah, the project, they came in and talked about a lot more than just pickleball courts, but the budget that they have from CPC is pickleball courts. It's not like doing all these walkways. It's a walkway to get to the pickleball court, but not like doing it's not more expansive in the scope of what they can do. Back then it was like, all right, well, put this all on the plan once, and then once you have it planned and permitted, you don't have to come back a second time. But the reality is they don't have the money to really do that amount of extensive work.
So that's why they had it so close to the sidewalk.
Because they didn't want to do the walkways, yeah.
They didn't want to do the walkways.
They didn't want to. They didn't
couldn't
have the
afford it.
money. Yeah.
So
is that what they want to do again? They want to move it back to the sidewalk?
No,
well, we don't know. We don't have a site plan to review.
No, they would move because if you remember, there was concern it was too close to the sidewalk.
It was literally on it. Yeah.
In the front. So as far as I know, they understood that and they'll be moving it back.
So we don't know, though.
No, I know that. So that I have to double check, but I believe they understood that request was reasonable, and, it will be moved. I can verify all these things are the points that the board made before coming in. But the first question is,
do we have the purview to do that? Do we have the purview to downscale the scope of the site plan review, like what you're proposing?
You can under the site plan modification, so you can limit the scope of the review.
Okay, so we have the purview to do it.
So, but then we would be looking at the entire property, and this would be a site plan modification for the property, is what you're saying?
So the modification would be just focused on the pickleball court and the aspect.
Right, considering it all as one recreation area, as Pondville.
No, just kind of crop it, and just the area of where the court would be.
Got it.
That would be the modification, not the whole entire site.
But it would be recorded as the as-built for that site.
Done a full site plan review for the fire station and.
Yeah, they did a full site plan. They did a full site plan for this complex many years ago.
Right.
So this would just be scope to the pickleball court. And I think they understood and would, the advertisement, the notice butters because of the nature of the use, that wasn't, that was fine. That wasn't a point of concern. It was more the engineering to go into the pickleball court. And then I did speak to Phil about a peer review, which a peer review for this nature would be much less. So you estimate around $2,500 in terms of that cost, as opposed to.
Did they have a budget were they ever gonna, like originally, were they planning on doing plans? Like, was there ever a budget for plans?
I would say there was a budget for plans, but it wasn't, I don't think they itemized it. Say, here's what the plan cost will be. Clearly, in this case, there was, we have to go, this is going to require site plan review. That was kind of being in disclosure, the moment in this situation.
All right, so we're not okay at 25, let's say, but we are okay at what, less than 10? This is what I'm hearing? From their budget perspective, like, they have additional funds to cover these things, like the.
That's what they're going to have to go back and look at their budget. Like, they're still going to need the engineer's going to have to give them a number. Here's what the plan's going to cost, and then here's what peer review, can you get it all done within that budget?
And so they're asking us, what is the absolute minimum that we would be okay with reviewing?
Yeah.
Got it. And so their first proposal is just the stormwater, because that was our biggest concern.
Yes.
And CPC has voted to extend their timeline to figure this out, right? Because CPC wasn't interested in giving more money for this, so hey, we'll extend the timeline so that you guys can figure out how to get this done so that these monies are not clawed, the $112,000 that were appropriated for this project don't get clawed back at the end of the second year.
Okay.
And then do you know if there is money to push it back a little bit? Just to have like a little walkway or something?
I'm not sure, because that's like recreation, so I only know so much about that. CPC has money, so if recreation at some point down the line says, hey, we one of the long-term plans, really short-term plan now, is to repair those tennis courts, right? So that would clearly be a bigger thing that, hey, all right, we're going to fix this. That's a big chunk of space. So, but this has been kind of a learning experience for everybody. And
yeah, I mean, I missed it being unfortunate. I wish I had been there, but this is more of, it's not a philosophical thing.
I mean, we need to have some sort of review. I mean,
what's that?
There needs to be some sort of review. It's just a matter of the scope of that review. Do we do a full, or something that's modified, narrow the scope down? I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, so if it's not a limited review, and so we still need to go to CPC, like, that loop hasn't closed out.
Right.
So I don't know what CPC is going to say. I mean, first I will say I will be going back to CPC, sorry, and say, here's the site plan bylaw. It doesn't distinguish between public and private.
Does not.
The trigger points are narrow, and this triggers it.
It does.
So will Town Hill. So,
I mean, we have
these a widget or whatever. I mean,
I mean, I always go back to whatever the rules are, whatever the bylaws or a lease or whatever it is. It's like, we have these in place for a reason. You should follow it. I mean, I think there needs to be, to make a change or an exception has to be a very high bar to change that exception.
I don't think we'll get enough information from just that smaller drawing set.
I mean, I know that's probably not the answer they were looking for, but it's like, I always go back and default to the legal document that we have, and the legal document is the bylaws, and the bylaw says we do this.
Yeah.
I mean, my question as a resident, right, not CPC member, not planning board member, is like, what avenues in the future would we have to, reprieve the municipal government from spending, right? This is just wasteful, right? Like, if we're saying, the number's not 25,000, but when we first started talking about this, is 25,000, like, that is insanely wasteful. That should never happen under any circumstances.
But is it wasteful when we're employing people in the local community to do these types of things?
But for what benefit? It's
for the benefit of the town, to make sure that things are getting built appropriately and to our standards.
It's 3 pickleball courts.
Yeah, but how do you...
DPW just kind of do a spot check and make sure it's draining, and then it's done.
But I mean, that oversimplifies the situation.
I understand. I'm just, as a hypothetical, that's, like, those are viable solutions to that problem. Now, our bylaws, this triggers site plan review, so I'm not trying to fight that.
It does, and it gets a little hairy when you... If we were to allow this, it's like, why you set a precedence? Why didn't, it's like the fire station obviously needed a site plan review.
Yes.
I mean, that was a big project. This is not.
So let's take the bigger consideration for the tennis courts and the paths, like ADA compliant paths, like that I think clearly is site plan review material, right?
Right.
But I don't know enough about this stuff to say, here's the specific reasons why 100-foot by 70-foot pickleball court is not, but it just feels that way.
I don't know. I take the same position I did with the signage bylaw when the town wanted to just be the only ones to be able to put up signs without having any sort of review process for it.
Developers to do it for their.
Yeah, I think it's interesting bring that up, because I remember we started on that conversation, right? And I think our initial pass at the sign bylaws never had to get to that point, but there are plenty of other towns that give municipalities not freebies, but certain leeways under certain conditions for certain things. I'm not sure if I'm going to die on pickleball as the hill, like that's just, but I'm just framing it as a bigger conversation, like, if the town is going to be cash strapped for the foreseeable future, we may want to be revisiting some of these things if we can shave $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 at a time, assuming there's no massively negative impacts. Again, this isn't my business, so I don't know where those negative impacts would come into play. Pickleball courts doesn't feel.
Well, that then brings up a different conversation. We need to modify the bylaws to do that. I still go back to, these are what the rules we have. We should follow those rules. It's very unfortunate. I mean, it is. But if we want to have some sort of flexibility, we got to build that into the bylaw.
Totally hear that. I flew into Rich's office. I'm like, this is ridiculous, and here's why. He's like, this is what the bylaw says. I'm like, okay, have a nice day, and I left. Because, right, I get it. The bylaw states it.
Now, in the big picture, I think there is value in revisiting the bylaw a little bit, because I think, not just based on this, actually from the business side of things too.
It's fine. So that'll be after
a future conversation.
After this town meeting.
Yeah.
And we can talk.
So, summation, where do you land?
Well, what was the initial request, just so I understand? It was, are we willing to take?
The limited scope.
A limited scope.
A limited
narrow the scope, which
And what would we narrow it to?
Well, I was suggesting just
stormwater.
Stormwater.
And I don't think that's sufficient.
Now, it doesn't mean necessarily, well, it's not that you can't offer your opinions on it in terms of the other elements of it, but just, it's not professionally peer reviewed to then go into that whole queue of, but I'm just.
I feel we should do a peer review. I mean, I think we should follow the bylaw, and which is the peer review.
Yeah.
And full site plan peer review.
All right. So I think.
Want us to vote on that?
No, it's an informal discussion.
No, I don't know. I can go back
When you first started talking, I was hearing something different. I thought you were decontenting what they originally proposed to build. I thought you were removing features to...
Well, I think, yes, to your point, I think they are, because they don't have the budget for that. So they were they were trying to build in future improvements into this site plan process, so they didn't have to go back through it. But they don't have the money for those yet, but they wanted to show them on the plan. But to show them on the plan, you're gonna wanna see all these other, it's kind of, you can't do one without the other.
Right.
So if you limit the scope, then that's what you come in and see, and that's what it is for now. If you want to do more down the road, then that's another process. I mean, that still could be an option if it's amenable to the board. I mean, it doesn't feel that amenable.
Well, what do you
not feeling it.
The most recent parallel maybe is the kids' place that was built. Did we make them go through a full site plan review for that?
Which one?
The daycare?
The fire station playground with the truck, but
Off of
Rockwood
Over on
Road?
Rockwood Road.
Rockwood?
did we waive the site plan review piece for that?
That's way bigger. I would assume there would be some.
Yeah, that was a
sort
full
of
site
plan.
that had to get developed.
It
Yeah.
was a full site. Now, I will say, just for context, that would have been under the old site plan bylaw. So under the old site plan bylaw, it's possible it didn't trigger the review. So I'd have to go back and look.
When was that changed? Do you remember?
It was in 21.
2021.
Yeah. So there's a good chance it didn't need it back
So
then.
that's why they're thinking they didn't need to run through this.
What is it that you guys would like to see on the site plan?
All of it.
Well, all of what, though? Like, what's
I'd like to
important
see the design.
assign?
I'd like to see the way that they're treating the stormwater. I'd like to see the paths. I'd like to see the lighting. I'd like to see how they're treating the flagpole and the compass thing that's over there as well. I'd like to understand how far it is from the street. I'd like to see the site view from the parking lot there. Like, they're also placing it right at that spot where it's the bend end, right? So
You mentioned the ice cream truck.
the ice cream truck, that's a huge part of my kids' lives. And mine. So there's a lot of considerations with that. It's not a small modification to that area.
And it's going to be, and for me, insane. Totally agree with all that. It's also pickleball. It's going to be highly utilized.
Right.
So it's
the first thing that's right there. And then you have all these children that are in the back that are playing that, are not as easily visible from a parent who might be, walking from their car, bringing their kid to soccer practice, and then all of a sudden you've got this weird gray zone where they can't be seen anymore.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it triggered it. I just feel like.
I mean, we've got the courts in the back of the field for a reason right now. We don't have them in the front. There's for lack of a better term, there's a piss court right now. It used to be a skateboarding court. And quite honestly, why can't we utilize that for pickleball?
They looked at it.
They looked at it. It was going to be more expensive to read.
They can't get 3 there? Is that the issue? Could they get two?
No, I think just because the dimensions would be one, because it's only long, it's not wide enough, it's only long enough.
And then modifying that location to fit is more cost prohibitive?
You'd have to go through, and we, from a CPC perspective, we were just given the plans as is and a cost estimate and, or the idea as is with a cost estimate.
Right, and
so
for what
that's
it is,
we voted.
25,000 sounds insane, but if it is the bylaw,
But I mean, at this point, you're thinking of a structure that's bigger than that one area where the skate park used to be. And so that's not an insignificant amount of land that it's taking up.
yeah.
And it is right up front.
And it's a
Highly
mixed,
utilized.
It's a mixed amount of soil versus sand, and so you don't know what the quality of the earth is there. You don't know if you're going to have the same settling problems that you have in the existing courts right now. A lot of work needs to be done to make sure it's done right. We've done this wrong several times already.
Good point.
I think the last time, though, it was the material that was used, because we talked about that in the last meeting. This would be asphalt, which is much easier, but all the same concerns either way.
Well, now you're creating an impervious area.
Right.
Let's calcs on that.
Yep.
I mean, it just triggers too many things.
It does.
I mean, I get it. It's very unfortunate. It's going to be expensive, but it just triggers too many things, and we have this bylaw for a reason.
Since 2021.
Yep. And we haven't come up against
That's
it
an
since
eternity.
then. Like, this is the first time we've come up to it and said, hey, what do we think? Right? So it's been working for the last 4 years, and now we're looking to subvert it.
Right.
Or,
This is kind of a
not
one of a
subvert,
kind.
Just,
rescope it.
Put this into, red flag territory as, hey, we should think about this. If this is an issue now or in the future, we should consider revising this. And as I've made my opinion known before, I'm not opposed to having specific municipal use guidelines and bylaws. I'm not sure if this could fit into that, but I'd be willing to entertain it.
Okay. I think we've all said our piece. Any new additional comments?
No.
Okay.
So the sound got to a limited review.
No.
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 Okay.
No additional, we'll move on. No additional
All right,
comments.
Good. All right. Well, I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll say good.
Town planner updates?
Yeah, so I think the last thing is, well, we got the zoning meeting next week, Tuesday.
Zoom only.
Zoom only. Zoom only.
Only 7 p.m.
Yep, I'll send you
day
the
was that?
link.
Tuesday, 7 p.m.
Zoom only.
MAPC. And it's probably an hour-ish call.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing, right?
That is the only
That's the only
agenda.
agenda.
That's the only agenda.
That's what I
item.
thought.
Yeah. And then, last is the, Pondville Crossing 40B.
Yep.
Can I ask you a quick question about MAPC real quick
Sure.
before we move to that?
Yep.
Will they have a financial comparison for us instead of like just colored boxes of what's pro versus con for the developers?
They said they would.
Okay.
Yeah, we asked them for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll know better tomorrow. I have a meeting with them tomorrow afternoon.
Oh,
But yeah.
Perfect.
Just to confirm, but they did,
They were aware of that.
they're aware of that, yeah. Yeah, because it just, so like I said, so Melissa put some comments together regarding Pondview Crossing. So in terms of timing, I did send comments to the select board, and I kind of summarized some of the planning board comments for Pondville Crossing from the February meeting when you talked about it. Then I had some of my own, but then Melissa had some comments, so you can, so now I want to just go through her, if you want to, some might be repetitive, but under your own signature, you can vote them and send them in to Mass Housing directly.
Okay.
They need to be, so we need to have this finalized tonight.
Tonight.
Because it has to be in by Thursday.
Okay.
So.
So this is the document called Pondville Crossing, Mass Housing Planning Board comments.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you guys might have seen most of this. I don't know what else is in here, but I sent this out to everybody.
That's in,
Right.
yeah. That one, it's in there, the pictures?
Yeah.
Yep,
just
it's in there.
So it may not be new to you completely.
Norfolk's is spelled wrong.
Let me, so I'm gonna open it. I'll share it to, yeah, so I just put all I did was cut and paste your comments and put it on letterhead, addressed it to Michael Busby, and so everything should be there that you had. So I didn't.
Looks much more official, thank you.
So
I didn't.
First issue was the narrow Hill Street, right? Which we mentioned, very narrow. It has a former, I guess, railroad crossing that only a single car can get through.
Have you driven up there?
Yeah. It's steep and it's
so
narrow.
bad. Oh, yeah.
That whole, yeah.
It's so narrow. That doesn't even, so the picture that I took there, that's included,
It doesn't.
that picture
justice.
looks wider than what it is. I
Yeah.
felt like my
It's-
car was
It
going to be
must have been
hitting
the
You should get
angle.
somebody's car in there and
need it.
redo the picture.
Right.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich, what's the plan for the greenway in that area? It's like, just like skirt around it, or?
That's an awesome question. Great question. I don't have an answer to. We did comment on that in the comment letter, and we had collectively sent a letter to the Secretary of MassDOT, because there is a statute that says that if you want to put structures in a former railroad right-of-way, that the Secretary of MassDOT has to consent to it. There's a public hearing process. I'm optimistic the fact that the secretary who needs to give consent is on the letterhead they gave us the grant award.
Yep.
For $1.5 million, that they're not going to grant that, and they're going to have to address it in terms of the project. So I'm somewhat, feel a little optimistic. Well documented, they're well informed of this Metacom Greenway, so there's no rational reason to say they didn't know about it. So.
Gotcha.
Is this something that you would print, have a sign, and then mail? Or is this something that you want us to print, sign, and mail?
No, well, I put it on Melissa's signature. We could print it, she could sign, and I would just scan it and send it to them.
Okay. Instead of sending these long URLs, can we use a shortener?
Do like tiny URL.
Yeah. So that way it's something that's easier for them to actually type in if they are interested in seeing it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's 2 URLs like that.
You know how to do that?
I'll do it.
Show my tech noviceness.
I'll show you. We can
No,
get
where I
really
retain it.
We can get
I gotta retain it next.
Okay, but we can get really fancy and do
image.
QR codes if you want.
No. We don't need to do that. Otherwise, I'm supportive. Having a sign if needed.
Anything else we want to add? So we talked about Everett was the next thing with the speed bumps, no sidewalks. Valley.
The water pressure.
Yep, water pressure, making a left turn from Everett. Yeah, the sight distance there is a little challenging. And then we talk about the Metacom Greenway and the water pressure.
Can you upload it into Google and then make it and then download it?
And then we talk about how it's not aligned with our housing production plan.
Yep.
Right into this.
I don't know if we need to harp on like lack of resources from a school perspective or anything like that.
Did I put it in the Google Drive?
Yeah, it's in the Google
Oh, it
Doc.
is, okay.
No, in terms of,
Oh, her making
because I put it on the
edits.
letterhead, that's all it was.
Wasn't that in one of the other letters?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's supposed to say.
I don't know. Possibly.
I thought it was there, about streaming resources.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was an official town letter that went out, I think.
As long as it's somewhere.
And I think there was somewhere in here I read earlier about how it doesn't align with, it doesn't align with our master
And then
plan.
I can,
I can download it as a
Copy.
PDF if that's easier.
Yep, but it looks
No.
good. Any additional things to add?
No, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great job.
Is there anything that's not there that you guys want to include?
You got environmental impacts, you got housing, production plan, master plan, kind of the
General distaste of the idea in its entirety. I'm more than
driver
willing to
safety.
switch on that. On a hot mic.
No, that looks good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any other comments on that?
well, because Melissa's gonna take care of that little URL shortener there.
Okay.
Only comment, and then,
What else you got, Rich, for planner updates?
I think it's, we're done.
Okay.
Shire.
Oh,
About Shire.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Almost, so close.
I'll be quick because it's, you know, it's a, we're not ready to do anything, it's more FYI, but, not FYI, but
It's an update.
it's an update.
Status update.
Yeah, status update. So as you know, in terms of the amount of money in the bond versus the cost to complete, we're upside down. So we're looking for, I'll call it cost-saving measures as much as we can. I met with the business owner, which is STF Enterprises at the end of Shire Drive that you approved.
Yep.
A couple years ago. Let's go this one. I think this is really helpful. And of course, we did change the name. It doesn't show up on this, but that's another story. But originally, the way this is permitted, they brought the layout of Shire to this property line, thinking that it would continue out to Pond Street. Well, since, and that was back in 2007. So since that time, the solar project is on the top of this page. And then 19 Shire bought all this for his business. So there's no intention to extend the road anymore to Pond Street. At the same time, he bought this site here next to it, which was there was a building that was up, literally just the block building.
It was like
Just a facade.
abandoned.
Yeah, cinder block. Yeah.
So that was demolished. He purchased that and he purchased this. So essentially, he has all ownership of all this land that's in red, which has access to Sharon Ave. And then there's 17, which you approved, and then 19 here. So the plan is to, which it was his suggestion, in order to create this cul-de-sac at the end, we would have to take land because it's there by easement. The building at 17 Sharon literally sits on top of where that easement is. So it'd be very expensive taking. Because literally it would be taken to the front door.
Right.
In order to put in that cul-de-sac. Then the thought was, let's move it to a different location. Again, more money to put in a cul-de-sac. So he said, why don't you just, this blue section, just have it remain private. It's a way that was approved by the planning board, so it provides legal frontage. It just wouldn't be a public way. We would take and remove this little turnaround that's here and just, so the road would just dive right into his site. And then 17 would just come off the cul-de-sac. I discussed it with both DPW and fire, and they're okay with that. because the only people who would go down there are for these two businesses. So there really there's not a need for a turnaround, because they would be on the property if they need to go to the site. They're not turning around on a public way at the end here.
Who owns that future road or that easement? Is it just an easement, or is it owned by the town that goes out?
So it will be owned by the town. The developer went into bankruptcy, and then that land went into foreclosure from the town of Norfolk. It's proceeding through the land court right now for land court judgment, which eventually will come to the town. So we'll have ownership in that parcel.
So the town will get ownership of that hash marked area and the other rectangle that's just...
This here?
Yes.
So this one, potentially, there's the option to abandon that portion of the road.
But when the town...
But we'll get that whole piece.
Through land court, and it's going to get that whole piece.
It is going to get that whole piece.
The hash mark piece plus the number.
Plus this, yes.
Right, so the town's going to get that.
Yep.
So then okay, so then the next thing is, what's the intent, or what's the thought process? I guess we don't, like you had said, possibly abandon, or you show here is modify the subdivision and remove this, so it's abandon it.
Yeah, so you have to modify the subdivision and abandon this portion in terms of the road.
Right.
And then the town could go through the disposition process to get rid of that piece.
So then who owns it then?
It's possible that he could purchase it and own it.
So the town would still own it?
No, this piece, the idea of this piece would potentially abandon it, and then he could buy it. Somebody else potentially could buy it, but it's just a parcel in between the two. He surrounds it.
Right, but then leaving the other piece as a private way, the town still maintains that?
The idea would be to then have the ownership interest go to the property owners.
Okay.
So we're not having
We're not
ownership.
plowing, we're not paving,
Right.
we're not, okay.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
Interesting.
Not straightforward, not awesome plan, but we're trying.
It is a plan.
It's a plan. So we're trying to re-engineer. Yeah, go ahead.
Instead of abandoning it, can't we just sell it to him outright?
Yeah, but you would have to abandon the road, so then you can sell the parcel. That's
Okay.
That's the abandonment part.
Right.
But we're not abandoning it, and we're not losing funds that we would get for it.
No,
He's
no.
still paying us
Is
for
it-
it. Okay.
Is
Well, you
abandoning a town meeting vote, or is that just a length of time thing?
The abandonment might not be town meeting, but the disposition might be.
Okay.
Yeah. Because again, these aren't public ways at all here yet, because they haven't come forward.
Right.
So the idea would be just bringing.
Right, we have a lot more flexibility right now because they're not public ways. But the problem is right now is we don't, as a town, don't even own them. They're
No.
Got it.
And this simplifies, again, the modification process, which lowers the cost of, for whatever, as much as we can. Hope I never see one of these again.
Well, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
We're just
Making
trying
progress,
to
though.
make the best. Yeah, we are making progress. Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, just to give you a.
Conversation.
Yeah. You can't do anything yet because we haven't got the land, but.
Nope. Okay.
All right.
And hopefully it doesn't change, but.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
Don't leave.
Because we can't close the meeting.
All right. Anything else,
And
Rich?
that's it. Now you can leave.
No.
Motion to adjourn?
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay.
So moved.
I have to go to the bathroom.